Good afternoon from the Superbook.com sports desk. I'm Joe Hunk. The Titans filled out their practice squad roster just a few hours ago. Notable names: VFL Theo Jackson has been signed to the practice squad. Mason Kinsey, the wide receiver, as well as Des Fitzpatrick. And yes, quarterback Logan Woodside. Taylor Biscotti is reporting from the NFL Network that Josh Gordon, the wide receiver, is visiting with the Tennessee Titans as we speak. And Brett Kern's dad went on the radio in Buffalo earlier today and said that he does not plan on signing with the Buffalo Bills and that the Titans have told him to stay ready just in case. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Vols, the flagship station for your Tennessee Titans and home to 3HL. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Yo, what up, Nashville? 3HL is on the air. Brent Doherty, 104.5 The Zone. There she is. She's Dawn Davenport.
Happy Wednesday? Is it Wednesday?
You almost said Monday, didn't you?
I don't even know what day it is. It's football season, and
Today's
that's all
Wednesday.
that matters.
Yes, it's Tennessee Football Eve. Vol fans unite
Yes.
as the season begins in
Tomorrow.
27 hours from right now.
Are you guys ready?
I'm wearing a Tennessee shirt right now.
Yes, you are. Ron Slay is at Tennessee.
He
right
is,
now.
and Ron Slay's going to check in today, and we don't know what time, so you're just going to have to listen to the whole show.
Yep. We'll let you know. I will say this. He sent us pictures of the stadium, and the sky is like perfectly blue. There's not a cloud in the sky. The sun's shining. The inside of the stadium looks sweet. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, he said all the new things in the stadium are popping, is what he said.
Yeah.
Slay's doing some things in Knoxville, which we will reveal with some sort of an announcement at some point from him.
Yeah.
He already kind of like clued people in one day when he made an announcement that he was going to have an announcement, which I thought was interesting.
Right.
But, you know,
Which
it's
I
Slay,
told him
so.
you can't do that. You don't announce an announcement. That's like, I don't know. It's like transferring. I'm going to hold a press conference to let you know that I'm foregoing my senior year. No,
Like
just
that
do it.
Half the schools now do so that they can celebrate the player.
That's right.
Or, have an announcement that you're going to return for your sixth year. Even though we knew you weren't going to get drafted. You know what I mean? The practice squad is out, and here's the thing. We've got a busy show to navigate with you today. John Robinson will address the media at 3:05 live. So we will go to that when he hits the podium. Mike Vrabel will hop into the mix after that, so we'll record that. Coach Mack, presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans, will join us at 3:20, and we'll roll through the initial 53 with Coach Mack. Also, we do have the practice squad, and it goes a little something like this. Tight end Thomas Adakoya, the international player. Running back Trenton Cannon. Linebacker Joe Jones, number 42. Defensive back Theo Jackson from Tennessee. Defensive back Chris Jackson. Not Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. If you go back far enough, you'll know what I'm talking about. Outside linebacker David Anini. We are not surprised by that one. Jaden Peavy, a defensive lineman. Tight end David Wells. Not the pitcher for the Yankees, I guess. Maybe it is.
The guy with the Babe Ruth hat?
Boy, that'd be a story, wouldn't it?
Yeah. That everybody missed.
I really think like that David Wells, the pitcher, I'm not sure that anybody ever drank more beer than that guy.
Or does now.
Maybe he doesn't drink beer. I'm just saying like that was my visual of him.
Oh, he does, because he even said that I believe he said that when he threw that no-hitter in the Babe Ruth hat, he was drunk.
The perfect game.
Yeah, the perfect game.
That's right.
He wasn't drunk. He was maybe still buzzed.
He felt it.
Yeah, he felt the effects and then threw a perfect game. That's true. I don't think that's the same guy. Offensive lineman Andrew Rupich. Offensive lineman Jordan Roos. Man, he struggled in that Arizona game.
Mm-hmm.
Offensive lineman Xavier Newman, defensive lineman Laurel Murchison, wide receivers Reggie Roberson, Mason Kinsey, Des Fitzpatrick, and quarterback Logan Woodside.
Yep.
Joe Hunt navigating in there. All right, let's go over to St. Thomas Sports Park and John Robinson, the general manager of the Tennessee Titans, addressing the media.
Got down to 53, and then got a big bulk of the group back on the practice squad today. So productive camp. Still got a lot of work to do, but we're moving forward and getting ready for week 1.
How will that work for you?
Yeah, we're so this afternoon, Racy McMath will go on injured reserve, and we'll sign Cody Hollister back to the active roster.
Obviously, Woodside, one of the players that came back on the practice squad, but what did Malik show you throughout the course of training camp and preseason to kind of feel comfortable with that quarterback 2 role?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he really improved. He certainly made some impressive plays in the preseason games, but even at practice, just the ball coming out of his hand a little quicker, throwing with a little bit better anticipation, deciphering, working through coverages. Just thought that he was on the right track. And I mean, he's still got a long way to go, but certainly trending in the right direction.
What has Hollister or how has he improved over the last couple of years that, he's the guy for right now for you there?
Yeah, I mean, I think Cody's toughness level, he's extremely dependable guy. He's a smart player. He can play a multitude of, multiple spots at the receiver position on a moment's notice without a lot of reps throughout the course of the week of practice. He's been a competitive guy on special teams. He's been productive on special teams for us, which when you're not in, if you're not the 1, 2, 3, 4 receiver, you're going to have to do something in the kicking game, realistically. And he's done a great job blocking. So, all the things for that position, get open, catch, block, dependability, intelligence, versatility. He embodies a lot of those characteristics.
What do you like about Dennis Daly and his versatility, I guess, a key for him as he joins the team?
Yeah, I mean, we played against him a couple of years ago. I mean, he certainly kept – I remember he was at the Senior Bowl. I think it was the same year that Nate was down there, Davis. He played mostly left tackle for those guys, but he's also played right tackle. He's played some guard. I think he's got good foot quickness. He's got some snap with his punch. I thought, he played – I think he started 9 games last year and blocked a lot of good players. He don't win every rep, but he battles and fights and finishes and tries to stay in front of his guy. And he was excited about the opportunity here and, felt that adding, depth to that position group was important for us and, glad that he was available.
John, keeping –
Go ahead, Joe.
Role moving forward here.
Yeah, I mean, he's working mostly at tackle, Joe, throughout the course of the spring and then through training camp. And then, he's getting some guard work now because if you're not one of the first 5, you want to be able to go in and play multiple spots. We've seen his work at tackle. He played guard some last year for us during, practices and stuff. He played left tackle in the San Fran game last year. So, working at guard now, just trying to get brushed up because he spent so much time at tackle so that he can punch in at any of those spots.
What are some of the late guys like Lonnie Johnson, Ugo, what did they do in order to come in and be able to earn a spot so quickly over a guy like Theo Jackson who you drafted?
Yeah, I think, Theo missed a little bit of time there in the middle of training camp. We were able to get Lonnie in here. He's got a unique skill set in that he's played corner and he's played safety. He's a really long player. He's a fast player. He's an explosive player. He did some things in the kicking game in the preseason that kind of caught our eye. And we think he can play, a couple different spots. Theo's really improved. Glad that Theo's back with us on the practice squad. Keep working with him. He's working at a couple different positions too. And Ugo, he was here for like 2 or 3 days. He certainly had a lot of film in his time in Seattle. Briefly there with Philly, they kind of played him down there in the nickel role. And then, when we got him here, he played in the game and was productive in what we asked him to do. So his ability to, I would say, transition to what we do and learn and execute pretty quickly certainly bode well for him.
What was so impressive about Trey Avery and Julius Chestnut that they earned spots on the 53?
Yeah, that's a great. I mean, I think with Julius, he ran hard, he ran tough, he played good on special teams. He actually caught the ball better than I thought he would. Anything that we asked him to do, he didn't have a whole lot of mental errors. Was just a guy that we didn't know if we could get him through waivers, but he also earned the opportunity on the team. And then, Trey, he was a late addition to the undrafted class. He came in here, and I made the analogy yesterday. He was kind of 7th or 8th in the race about midway through camp, and it seemed like once he got to turn 4, he just hitched up and kept running and kept passing guys up. He's competitive at the line of scrimmage. He's really sticky in coverage. He's got good play speed. He's got good instincts. And he doesn't play the position like a rookie. He's not intimidated. He gets up there and he lines up on his guy, and he's reactive, and he's really done a nice job.
John, keeping Dez off the initial 53 again, I guess maybe what's the message for him, and what specifically do you guys want to see from him in terms of continuing to grow?
Well, it was a different conversation this year than it was a year ago, Ben. I thought that he really had an outstanding offseason. He got off to a really good start in training camp, made some plays for us, and then the consistency bug kind of crept in there. There were practices where it wasn't so good, and then he would rebound a little bit the next day, and then maybe drop the next day, and then really turn it up the next. And I told him we've just got to maintain that consistent level and work to improve a little bit. You can't have the highs and lows, the peaks and valleys throughout the course of your career improvement-wise. And he acknowledged that, and he was excited to be back here today and working on the practice squad. And, we saw what he did last year. He improved throughout the course of the season last year, earned the right to get back up on the 53, and that's what the expectation level is for him this year.
Looked like about 20% of the initial 53 is made up of rookies. What does that say about this team and then what they were able to show you?
I think it's a competitive group, and we spent a lot of time with thee guys, in the draft process, being able to to be around them and get to know them. And they've came in. I was talking to Chicky Giassi, our player development guy. He said this has been one of the better rookie classes from a standpoint of coming in here and being able to act like what we expect a pro football player to act like, which is a testament to them and the universities that they came from, and their commitment to us and to the process.
Ty Sambraio, that tackle who could plug in either side at a moment's notice. Do you have a clear-cut number 3 guy right now?
Well, I think we're working through that, David. That's kind of why we've, Dylan's played on both sides. Jamarco has played on both sides. Dennis Daly has played on both sides. So, and we've got 3 guys that we think that have played on both of those sides on the end of the line of scrimmage, and they're working at a couple of different spots, and whoever the best one is, if when called upon to go out there and play their spot, we're going to expect them to be ready.
What do you think went wrong?
Josh Gordon was going to visit today. NFL Network report. I guess is that accurate? And I guess if so, what do you have to consider when you maybe bring in a guy like that just to take a look?
Yeah, we're going to work out a lot of players throughout the course of the fall, John, and we don't comment on those guys. We'll comment about the guys that are on the team, and if players, when we work them out, if they end up on the team, then we'll talk about them.
What do you think went wrong with the 2020 draft class, and is that something that you could learn from going forward?
Well, I think Christian Fulton was in that class. Murch was in that class. Murch has made our team a couple times, and then he ended back up on the practice squad this year. We've got some guys in the that were undrafted that are on that class. I've spoke about the guys that aren't here anymore. I'm not going to talk about those guys again. But I think that whole period of time was kind of weird for all of us, right? Because we were in this pandemic, we were locked in our houses, and we couldn't do anything. And it certainly, we tried to go through our process, TD, but it was just different, and it wasn't. I personally was not able to do what I normally do as I prep for the draft.
Is that a reason why that? On the flip side of that guys like Nick Westbrook and Thierry Tart and Aaron Brewer slipped through the cracks in that draft, but turned out to be productive players?
Possibly. Yeah, possibly. We just certainly did our due diligence on those guys and identified those guys. And, those guys have taken the opportunity that we've given them here and really worked hard to improve. They're much better football players than they were when they got here. And that's a testament to those guys.
All right, that's Titans General Manager John Robinson rolling through some information as the Titans hit their initial 53. Racy McMath hits the IR. Cody Hollister signed to the active roster. That's 5 wide receivers. We'll roll through that in a little bit. They didn't think they could get Chestnut through waivers to get him on the practice squad. An interesting comment there. And about the potential of Josh Gordon being worked out today, as reported by the NFL Network. We're going to work out a lot of players this fall, he said. Not going to comment on anybody that's not on the roster. So some comments from John Robinson. Mike Vrabel will address the media as well. We'll have some audio from him during the course of today's show. When we come back, Coach Mack, presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Let's get right into that initial 53 with Coach Mack next, 3HL 104.5 The Zone.
All right. ArtisanCustomClosets.com. Maybe you are working to get organized. Artisan Custom Closets can help you do it. And when I say organized, I mean garage, mudroom, closet, laundry room, home office. Maybe you want a new one. Artisan Custom Closets is who you need to call. I feel like nowadays, customer service, tip-top customer service is hard to find sometimes. And that is the highest goal at Artisan Custom Closets. Lisa Carlquist is the owner, and that's really important to her. It's a locally owned, manufactured right here in the USA, right out of Marietta, Georgia. They opened their office here a couple of years ago, and they want you to feel comfortable and love what you purchase, and they make sure to take care of you. Here's how it works. I know because I got my garage organized and have a beautiful cabinetry system there that they put in. You can meet with one of their senior design consultants. They will personalize your space to fit your needs. First one's free consultation at your home. Then they come up with your 3D plans. They lay out your options and cost. And Artisan Custom Closet makes it easy for you to say less to the mess. You can take away or add, and then installation takes as little as 1 day. Tell them you're a Zone listener, that Dawn sent you, and they'll give you 10% off whatever your project is. Here's your phone number, 800-2199. That's 615-800-2199. Say goodbye to clutter and get your free in-home consultation at artisancustomclosets.com.
Accurate Mortgage, I want to tell you about these guys. Rates have come down a bit recently, though they're still higher than they were a year ago. But you know what else has gone up? Interest rates on credit cards and HELOCs as well. That's why you need a trusted local advisor from Accurate Mortgage to help guide you through this crazy market for your home purchase or refinance. Not just some Joe Blow off the internet in an anonymous chat box. Unlike the big online lenders to Accurate Mortgage, you're not just a number to make a quick buck off of. Accurate will only ever advise a loan that makes sense for you financially. Even though rates might be higher than your current mortgage, a cash out refi might be able to save you money every month by getting rid of higher interest rate consumer debt. Don't lose the savings in your wallet to the interest rate in your head. Jen in Nolensville, for example, able to completely remodel her home with a cash out refi, and her new payment is actually lower than her old payment. Win. So if you're looking to purchase a home, do a cash out refi to renovate your current home or pay off high interest credit card debt. Let the loan advisors at Accurate Mortgage help you find the right loan solution for you. Visit Accurate Mortgage today at AccurateMTG.com. Accurate Mortgage Group, a division of Acopia LLC, is an equalizing lender. NMLS number 4664. 3HL 104.5 The Zone. Brett Doherty, Don Davenport, Ron Slay on assignment at Knoxville. It's a pretty cool assignment, too. I can't wait to let you in on that. But we'll let him do that, of course.
Yes.
And he's going to check in at some point today. Don is headed to Starkville, Mississippi.
Stark Vegas, baby.
I've been there one time. It was in 1994. I saw Tennessee fumble the ball 5 times and lose.
Jeez.
I also saw Peyton Manning come in the game in relief of Todd Helton and throw an out route to Kendrick Jones, where the corner tried to jump the route, thought he had good position, but Peyton Manning threw, as Coach Mack likes to call it, a piss missile to the sideline. The corner looked around like, what was that?
Yeah.
Kendrick Jones caught it and ran to 80 yards for a touchdown, and everybody was like, okay, we get the whole Peyton Manning thing. Wow. I understand.
Did your ears ring with cowbells?
Yeah, it wasn't that bad to me. Maybe I'd built it up expectation level-wise in my head that it wasn't that bad. And
I think it's gotten worse. Well, I say worse.
Maybe.
Better for the fan base.
We had a great time, I'll tell you that. And the people at Mississippi State loved partying, whether we were Tennessee people or not. They didn't care.
Yeah.
So it made it fun.
Everybody's welcome.
But I've told the story all the time, but we pulled in Starkville into a convenience store, and we were getting beer, right? Because that's the first thing you do on a college road trip. When you pull into the convenience store, you get beer. And they didn't have cold beer.
Mm-hmm. Because they can't.
And the guy was like, yeah, we don't sell cold beer down here. And I'm like, you really think this is going to stop us? And he goes, I really don't care. And so it didn't. And we had a blast, even though Tennessee lost. But we did get a glimpse as to what Peyton Manning was that day. Coach Mack, piss missiles, man. I'll never forget that phrase.
Well, because it's accurate. How we doing, Brett and Don? Don and I talked a little bit about the cowbell game this weekend.
We have.
A little bit of a defensive ball talk against that offense, which I know the season started when Don and I start talking real ball about real things.
I texted him, Coach Mack, I got a ball question for you. Will you talk over it with me? He immediately calls me, and, we were talking about defending the air raid and what's key, because coaches always say don't let the quarterback read grass. So thanks, Coach.
Don will crush it on her broadcast there with that.
Well, let me ask you a question about that, not knowing the answer. But so when you look at Mississippi State's offense and you look at Will Rogers, he had a very high completion percentage. But Coach Mack, in the games that I watched, people talk about air raid. And when you think air raid, you think, oh, they're going deep shot after deep shot. But that's not really what I saw when I watched them. It was a lot of underneath stuff and just kind of matriculated the ball down the field Hank Stram style, but not Hank Stram style.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is not just a takeoff route every time. It's important. I told Don this, where I'm not giving away any secrets. I mean, defensively, you've got to play a pretty vanilla shell to begin with. Don't show them pre-snap what you're going to be in. Morph down into the coverage. But the key against that offense is spot tackling, especially on first down, to put them behind the chains on second down. But you've got to spot tackle. They're going to complete passes, and they're going to make yards. You don't want to give up the explosives over your head, and you really don't want to give them the same post-snap look that you're giving them pre-snap look. That they talk about reading grass. Basically what they're doing is reading numbers when they come off the ball. So you cannot show that offense what you're going to be in before the snap.
Yeah, I've been talking to some people in that world. I kind of like Mississippi State to not win the West necessarily, but be kind of an agitator team that gives you a lot more than maybe what you think they will.
Well, defensively, Don and I talked about this. You've got to have patience, and you've got to be able to swallow your ego as a defensive coach. You think you're going to go in there and shut them out for yards. That's not going to happen. You've got to be able to pick and choose your spots, but you've got to be able to win first down by spot tackling.
There you go.
Coach
Memphis
Mack.
new DC, too, although he called plays for Ohio State at the end of the year last year, so it's probably pretty legit.
There you go.
There's that. While we've got you on college football, what do you think about this Tennessee-Ball State matchup, and how excited are you to see what that year two of that Heupel offense looks like?
Should be a boat race.
Yeah.
Should be an absolute boat race, and that's what you want. You want to come out, really, on all cylinders, both offense and defense, and you want to get your team straight. You would really like to have the first quarter and a half just be a boat race, and then be able to – but you want to be solid. And then you want to be able to start playing some younger guys throughout it but I'm completely expecting a boat race this time, and I expect a full house down there too. That'll be a lot of fun. Ron Slade's the perfect person to have down there agitating everybody.
How difficult is it to kind of change the way a quarterback is? I'm asking about Joe Milton. So how do you get a guy to go from throwing 105-mile-an-hour fastballs no matter what the throw is and just scud missiling that thing and explosions happening all over the field when the ball hits to develop some sort of touch? Is it possible?
Yeah, it's possible. First thing you do is bench him until he does it. You know, that changes your mind a lot. You know, I mean.
Well, they did that.
Yep.
Yeah, well, they did, and so they're probably working towards that. But you know, Hendon Hooker came in because he could read coverage and he had some touch. I mean, Joe Milton, you know, has got some ability. But when they first put him out there, he was throwing the deep ball, but he was throwing it way too deep. All right, and so yeah, that's what you do. I tell you, one of the better teachers in the history of football, regardless of what side of the ball it is that sideline.
Were you impressed with what Vanderbilt was able to do? I know it was Hawaii, but Vanderbilt's played bad teams before and not scored 63.
They had to boat race Hawaii.
Yeah,
and that helps. You know, and when you're coming from the starting point that Vanderbilt is, you know, in the second year for Clark Lee, I mean, you've got to show improvement, but also look, winning helps the way you feel. I mean, you made a long trip out there, which is good, and you won the game, and you did boat race them, so that helps everything. I mean, I take nothing away from that performance. In fact, I was glad to see them do it.
Coach Mack, let's transition to Titans 53 roster is in, and obviously I know you have the behind-the-scenes knowledge and all that, but any big surprises on the roster from kind of when you came into camp towards the middle of camp to how it ended up?
You know what? Not really, Dawn. I mean, I think we talked about this throughout the preseason, you know, just talking about, I mean, those guys have, you know, I mean, the right tackle job was won, you know, after about the third week on, I thought, just because of the pass protection. So we kind of knew that. You kind of kept looking at it. And to me, the final roster didn't surprise me. It surprised me a little bit with Chestnut because you kept 5, but I think the reasoning behind it was right. I mean, you might have lost that guy, and he, you know, he may not be on the initial the 53 for long.
Right.
But the fact that he showed up enough. I know Dawn was a little down on him for fumbling, but he fumbled once in the game, and then he came back.
And then a couple times in practice. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, but that's over. And then he got back on the horse in the game and did a nice job. This kid's got skills. So anyway, the 53-man roster was about what I expected, and the guys they brought back on the practice squad was about what I expected to continue to develop those guys. Guys, if there's anything ever good that came out for football from that COVID year for the National Football League was a 16-man practice squad. That gives you a chance to really develop some players. And there's some guys that need some more development. Some guys just need to soak longer than others. And they brought back some guys that need to soak a little longer, but the fact that they're there practicing will help.
So you were impressed that Chestnut was able to put some of that fumbling behind him. And like the image that popped in my head when you said that was like maybe a cowboy at Gillies puts down his beard, gets on the bull, gets thrown off, but then looks around, gets back on the bull and rides it.
You ever been to Gillies?
Yeah. We took a school field trip when I was in the 3rd grade to Gillies.
Oh, geez.
To Gillies down in Pasadena?
Yes.
What kind of school did you go to?
Pat Neff Elementary School in Sharpstown.
Well, I'm telling you what now. I've been to that Gillies live and in color. I mean, I was older than I was in grade school, so we had a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, most cowboys that got on that original bull at Gillies had more than one beer.
I did think it was a fun watch to watch the competition at right tackle. And Nicholas Petit-Frere, I'm telling you, that is a great story, right? To come in and be behind, a year behind, and show improvement week to week, not only in the games, but also at practice, which also provides Dylan Radins, I think, an opportunity to maybe work himself into that swing guy at guard. And, you know, in terms of Pro Football Focus, whatever you want to put into that, played much better inside in that last preseason game.
Well, to me, I mean, it was one, and again, I give a lot of credit to him because he worked on the issues that he had at Ohio State that precipitated him being a 3rd-round pick because he's got length, he worked on his pass protection, which was good. I think both of them, if you graded it out, I don't grade them out every game, but you look at it and you watch practice, they were both pretty similar at the right tackle in their run blocking. All right, but Nicholas Petit-Frere, I think won it because of his length and the adjustments that he made as far as on the edge in pass protection. And so, yes, I mean, I give him all the credit in the world because starting out, Dylan Radins, had an advantage over him, and you were expecting, him to maybe be able to work his way into that. Well, but Nicholas Petit-Frere, and again, they gave both of those guys an even opportunity. And when Radins moves inside, he'll be the swing guy. And so that's what you got to have, and that's why they brought in the other tackle / guard from the Panthers. To be a swing guy, you're going to have about 9 guys, and if you dress 7 on Sundays, those other 2 they have to be able to play outside on both sides, and they have to be able to go into that center guard triangle, at least one of them.
Yeah, Dennis Daly is the guy you're talking about. I saw some tape on him, Coach. I wasn't real impressed, but maybe he can get back on the bullet Gillies.
Well, nobody said they were bringing in a first-round pick.
Hey, there's a report out there, Coach Mack, today that Josh Gordon, who was released by the Chiefs, is meeting to chat with the Titans. Obviously, John Robinson wouldn't comment on it when he was asked, rightfully so. But what is your thought on that?
They're going to bring a lot of guys through here.
Yeah.
That's what you do. I mean, if you want to find out about somebody, you bring them in. So that doesn't shock me. There will be probably quite a few guys. I mean, guys, we had 91 guys come through last year that played on this team, right?
Yeah.
So they're gonna scour it. So you're gonna have quite a few guys come through the car wash here all the time.
Do you think they're okay at receiver right now? You look at this roster. Obviously, the news that Racy went to IR. You think they're okay right now?
Yeah, they're okay right now. I mean, and we'll find out. And if they're not, as the season progresses, then they'll do something else about it. But guys, let's be real honest now. Everybody says, well, why don't we go out and get? Well, why don't you go out and get where? Because you got 32 teams.
It ain't that
there.
easy.
Well, it's not easy because people aren't discarding good players.
Right.
I mean, that's not the business that you're in. So you've got to develop the guys that you're with. You really do.
Trey Avery made the roster. Was reading about him during the break. What a cool story. Undrafted guy out of Rutgers. What do you think about him?
I liked him because I thought just when he come in, what I watch for first when I watch young guys come in is just how they carry themselves on the field. Some guys look like they're a little bit apprehensive about being in the National Football League when they're new, which is, that's understandable, correct? He never acted like that. I mean, he was always just kind of lining up and getting in front of who he's supposed to get in front of and getting off a block and going to make tackles. And look, that's what you look for first, because if somebody has got that type of confidence, it's not bravado, it's just confidence. And then you're able to develop that. Well, that's what you're looking for. I mean, good for him. I mean, when you do that, he's earned it. Yeah. Look, nobody's given anybody anything in this league. Nothing. Coaches are players. I've told you this many a times. One of the first things I was told is, look, you're interviewing every day. Don't just think just because all of a sudden you're here as a Bears coach that you're going to be a Bears coach for very long. You're interviewing every day, and that's the same way players are.
How long were you Bears coach?
Well, 10 years.
No, I mean head coach.
Head coach.
6 hours didn't know it for 3.
That's my favorite comment.
Chance Campbell, inside linebacker, 6th-round pick out of Ole Miss. Really showed during preseason games. Very active player. What do you like about him?
Good eyes, can read the center guard triangle, gets ahead of blocks, has pretty decent instincts. Good special teams player. He was his last year collegiately. He's a tackling machine. He knows how to find the football. Some guys behind the line, second-level players, I've coached it for years in this league, have a knack for a GPS to the ball, as I like to call it. They've got a natural GPS to get there, to get ahead of blocks. He can do that. So he's going to have to be a core special teams contributor, and as he continues to develop, now the thing that he's got to know is that the speed is going to even ramp up more, because the people he played against in these 3 preseason games aren't the same dudes that if he gets in a ball game for now are going to be the same type of speed. But you've got to be able, when you're doing that at that position, you've got to be able to have great eye discipline, trust your eyes, trust your reads, learn how to read and get ahead of some blocks. Because how many times have I said this to you? In this league, when you're playing for real as a linebacker, a slow, correct decision is wrong because it'll be past you.
Yep.
Coach Mack with us, presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Coach Mack, last thing today, and then, man, we get to start talking about games and stuff next week. Were you surprised that Laurel Murchison cleared waivers and made it to the practice squad?
Not really. You got to figure, guys, if you're going to pick somebody up, you're going to claim them, you're going to put them on your active roster, right? I mean, and so, look, there's players out there. I mean, we got 32 teams full of players, and plus, all of these other 31 teams have spent a lot of times developing the players that they have. What they're really hoping now, guys, I mean, your mindset when you're making a roster move nowadays with the 16-man practice squad is, I hope I get these guys back through because I've spent a lot of time developing them, and I will get more time to develop them. So, no, I mean, somebody's got to be really in dire need to pick up somebody right now at this point, put them on their active roster.
I know you're breaking down film. You've got Mac Talk coming up. You've got Titans games. It's busy season time for Mac.
We got up there early this morning. Amy Wells and I, we already started. I mean, we've already been looking at Buffalo, and we've been looking at Baltimore. People will say why, because that's where the two play callers are coming from. Then we also watched today. We watched New York's preseason games. Then I did two Microsoft Surface things, recorded that. Mike and Amy recorded. I mean, it's worked. It's go time now.
Yeah, I forgot Wink Martindale went over to the Giants.
No. Well, I don't forget it because there's going to be some definite things you're going to see. I mean, Wink is the guy that unapologetically blitzes about 60-70% of the time. He has his whole career. I mean, he's kind of like Bruce Arians on the offensive side of it. No risk it, no biscuit.
Yeah.
And you're going to see overload blitzes. You're going to see looks that you've never seen before coming from everywhere. So it's going to be a real challenge. It always is with his fronts.
Love it. Great conversation, Coach. Always enjoy it. Appreciate you.
Dawn, have a good game. See you.
Thanks, Coach Mack. Good stuff.
He didn't say bye to me.
Sure he did.
Coach Mack presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Need great health care coverage at an affordable price tag. Let Farm Bureau Health Plans coach you through it. They've been protecting Tennesseans for 75 years. When we come back, Coach Vrabel with the media. We've got the entire thing for you next on 104.5 The Zone.
What's up, good people? What's up, good people? Right now, with football season right here, you should be traveling. You should be traveling to all of these football games. Any team that you support, you should be traveling with a car that ain't got no roof. That's right. And you can go to Music City Autoplex and pick that up. 2430 Gallons of Pike North, just 15 minutes from downtown. Browse online at Music City Autoplex also. Bring your trade in also to Music City Autoplex, and guess what you will get? Yep. You'll get $500 guaranteed on any written trade offer. They want you to trade, and they want you to get in your dream car, whatever that may be. You may be asking yourself, what makes Music City Autoplex different? Well, I tell you, they can help you get the approval you need to purchase because of the relationships they have. While other dealerships have been dwindling their inventory, nope, Music City Autoplex, they've been increasing it. They know people still need cars, late model trucks, SUVs, cars, whatever you got, they got for you. So bring your trade in on down. Get on down to Music City Autoplex, and you know what the Uncommon dealership does? It makes you want to. Go get a car.
3HL 104.5 The Zone. The big Titans are talking today. Heard from General Manager John Robinson earlier, who said a bunch of things, including Racing McMath, wide receiver, will hit the IR. Cody Hollister has been signed to the active roster. That gives him 5 wide receivers: Robert Woods, Nick Westbrook-Akina, Kyle Phillips, Traylon Burks, and Cody Hollister. He said they didn't think they could get Julius Chestnut, the running back, through waivers to get him to the practice squad.
Which was interesting.
Yep, and asked specifically about Josh Gordon, who was cut from Kansas City, and NFL Network saying that he would work out for the Titans today. He was asked specifically about that by John Glennon. We're going to work a lot of guys out this fall. That's what he said. We'll talk about the guys that are on the roster. So what did the head coach have to say to the media today? Here is what he had to say in its entirety.
Teresa with the day off. She went golfing.
She said to tell you that she'd have an injury report for you next Wednesday.
Good. I look forward to it. What do you guys got?
We haven't seen Danico Autry on the practice field for a while. How's the progress he's been making throughout the course of camp?
Good. Good to see him back out there. We did some good things, and we'll get moving forward with him.
What's it like been for you, I guess, Mike, over the last 24 hours, maybe communication with players, guys coming, guys going, and how would that do?
Well, I mean, we know it's a difficult time, having been through it, as a player and a coach. It's not easy. We try to communicate and visit with each guy, each person. They put a lot into it. Some of them have spent a lot of time with us. And we also try to communicate with the ones that we do want back, that we have all intentions of continuing to work with them. We know how important the practice squad is, how critical it is to our season, not only to us and the games that we would have to use those guys in. We have done that a lot, is also their development.
Like with the quarterbacks, with Malik, will he ever help your scout team, help to give the defense looks during the practice?
That's the backup quarterback's job. That's where they get their reps. So, we try to put it in our terminology, and we've talked a lot about that here in the last couple of days when, we started just using some cards, is that, whether we put the call on there or not for you, you should be able to look at the formation, look at the play, and then translate that into our terms. And if it's not, and if we don't have it for whatever reason, then that's fine. Then run the card. But, we're asking those guys to come out there, take control of the huddle, the cadence, the operation, make sure guys are lined up. And that's where he's getting a lot of his reps. And so those can be good reps.
Will there be anything different with him just because you're in this process of trying to also have him in your offense and everything, or is it just how it would be with anyone in that role?
That's how it would be with any backup quarterback. I mean, he's still preparing like, he's going to be the starter, so is Logan. And then, he'll get some reps throughout the course of the day, but the majority of his work, and every backup quarterback that I've been associated with, that's where their work is.
What impressed you in camp and preseason about Julius Chestnut and Trey Avery?
I thought they came in and competed. John talked a lot about the roster, I'm sure, so just keep it to, the Giants.
Tannehill, this camp, have you seen any change in the way he goes about leading this team?
I didn't hear what you said.
I said with Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah. I mean, I think that he's had a very good camp. I think that, you hear him talking through things and, explaining the situations, whether we're in a group period or what we're working on. I think he's very conscious of being vocal and, working through things with tight ends that are new or receivers, or, trying to, figure out where each and every guy is going to be and making sure that they're where he wants them.
What's it like, you mentioned, kind of looking toward the Giants, what's it like preparing for a team in week one that's going to have so much newness to it? I know it's about getting your team ready, but how's the preparation go and preparing for somebody with a lot of unknowns?
Well, I mean, we played against both coordinators. The head coach has been in Buffalo. The defensive coordinator has been in Baltimore. So try to learn the personnel the best that we can. Try to anticipate what we may see from them in all three phases. Most of the scheme stuff would probably come from, somebody other than the Giants. So you're watching the Giants for personnel to see guys' skill set, how they play. And then you're just trying to, trying to get them prepared the best that you can for the things that you think you might see.
Do you see this week as kind of an extension of training camp in terms of working on what you need to work on while starting to put in what you need to do against the Giants, or how do you approach this?
I think it's probably a little bit of both, trying to use the time that we have to get some work into some competitive work, which we did today, and then, also start to show them, stuff that we think we may see in the game.
See, Daly is more of one or the other, more tackle or guard, or what are your thoughts?
O-line, see where it kind of works out. He's got flexibility.
How hard was the decision that had to be made on Brett?
I mean, again, John touched on the roster. My conversation with Brett was fantastic. Can't thank him enough for his professionalism. My time with him personally, the impact that he's made over the 4 years that I've been here with him in this community, his football team. I've watched his kids grow up. It was good to have Bryce out here for training camp. It was really fun, and I know that, I'm going to have a, good relationship with Brett, moving forward. He's just a true professional.
What's Dez got to show you to kind of work his way back again, potentially getting to the 53?
Same thing that, hopefully all the receivers, being able to get open when we need them to, being able to block when we need them to, contested catches.
I guess with Brett gone, Taylor's kind of the elder statesman now. What is his presence and leadership meant for this team since you've been here?
Oh, I mean, I think we all know Taylor's personality. I think that's something that has to be a strength for us. His energy, his vocalness. I mean, you hear him out there, and he's had a good camp. He's been out there. He's improved. Trying to work on some things. So that's it's always a positive. He's never asked for a day off. He's never done that. We've tried to take care of him the best that we can. And I think, and I'm hopeful that leadership continues.
How's Nicholas Petit-Frere grown at his position, and what more can he do you think as he evolves as an NFL player to learn that spot?
Well, just so much different, things that he sees from looks and scheme from our defense, or Tampa and Arizona, and then now going, looking forward to the Giants. That's a lot of stuff. So each block or each play, based on the front, there's a lot more to it than that. I think sometimes in pass protection, that's probably the easiest thing that they have, is because it's, the tackle usually has the end unless, there's pressure or something else happens. So, with that, it's just really just being good at the top of the pocket and, using his length, using his size. But I think he's adjusting to the different looks in the run game.
That's Mike Vrabel, Titans head coach, talking about, let's talk about the Giants.
He's in regular season form already.
Yeah, the John Robinson talked about the roster. How many times did he say that?
A million. Yeah, we know, Coach, but we want to hear from you.
Yeah, so Daly, is he a tackle or a guard? He's an offensive lineman, Coach Vrabel said. We'll see how it shakes out.
That's actually the right answer right there.
Talking about an uncommon opponent, the New York Giants, he pointed out that they watch the Giants for personnel, but their head coach and both coordinators, obviously with a track record. Brian Daboll, Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator, most recently. Mike Kafka is the offensive coordinator of the Giants. Last 2 seasons, he was the quarterback's coach and passing game coordinator for Kansas City. Been in Kansas City with Andy Reid the last 5 years, so you look there. And then Wink Martindale, we talked with Coach Mack about him, 35 years in the league, last 4 serving as Ravens defensive coordinator. So there you go. That's a lot of Titan stuff. We're going to switch over to some college football in the next hour. Josh Ward from our sister station, WNML Radio in Knoxville, will join us next to talk about Tennessee and Ball State. Todd
Football
Fuhrman.
Eve.
That's right. Todd Fuhrman at 4:30. Danny Kanell talking college football at 4:45 from a national perspective, and he and Don like to get into it, so we'll see.
I was
going to
say,
there.
you mean from an ACC homer perspective?
There you go. All right, shots fired already. All right, more 3HL. Stay tuned on 104.5 The Zone. You can go to one of the best sporting events in the world in September, and you can do it at Bristol Motor Speedway. BristolMotorspeedway.com. That's where you can get more information about the big race coming up on Saturday the 17th. It is a big racing weekend in general, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Also, ticket information there as well, BristolMotorspeedway.com. I have been to the day race. I've been to the night race, and we're talking about the night race. Thursday, September 15th, the NASCAR Truck Series will roll around Bristol Motor Speedway. Then on Friday, the 16th, Food City 300 NASCAR Xfinity Series, 300 laps under the lights. Last year's last lap was a crash fest with tons of hot tempers. Going to be fun. Saturday, September 17th, the Bass Pro Shops night race, the race of the year at the Coliseum. I can't even begin to adequately explain to you what it's like to see the Bristol Motor Speedway in person, to walk in that building, to look out on the track, and when the cars start humming around the racetrack, it is an unbelievable feeling. This is a cutoff race for the playoffs as well. 4 teams will be eliminated from the playoffs. Bristol producing more hot tempers than any track on the circuit. You saw what happened at Daytona over the weekend. Tons of rubbing. That's what's going to happen at Bristol. Rubbing is racing, especially at Bristol. BristolMotorspeedway.com is the website. That's where you can get tickets. You need to check this event off your sports bucket list, even if you're not a race fan. BristolMotorspeedway.com. It's Bristol, baby.
Good afternoon from the Superbook.com sports desk. I'm Joe Hunk. Just a few moments ago, General Manager John Robinson, as well as Coach Vrabel, met with the media. The biggest story coming out of it so far is the fact that wide receiver Racey McMath will be heading to the IR, and that, just like they said, just because they put out a 53-man roster yesterday, it didn't mean that's going to be the one going into the Giants game, because wide receiver Cody Hollister has been added to the 53 men. When it comes to the practice squad, everybody's favorite quarterback, Logan Woodside, has re-signed with the team. He will be added to that, as well as Des Fitzpatrick and VFL Theo Jackson. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Vols, the flagship station for your Tennessee Titans, and home to 3HL. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Three HL 104.5 The Zone. What up, Brent Doherty, Don Davenport. Hey, Double D.
Hi. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Football Eve.
That's right. For Tennessee fans, it's here.
A couple weird stories out there. I saw a big truck full of tomatoes spilled in California yesterday, and they had all these wrecks because they said you just don't know how slippery tomatoes are, like the guts of the tomatoes and the peel.
Sense.
And then today, somewhere in here, fettuccine Alfredo all over the interstate.
Oh, what a waste of some good Alfredo.
Good pasta. Good football coming up tomorrow. Tennessee opening the season at 6 o'clock. 4 o'clock, Vol Network coverage begins right here on 104.5 The Zone. And Josh Ward back again this year to help us preview Tennessee football games from our sister station, WNML Radio in Knoxville. Josh Ward and Jason Swain. You can catch those guys on in Knoxville.
Good show.
Yeah, Josh, what's up? How are you?
Hey, doing well. Feels like a Friday, right? I mean, the Thursday kickoff has kind of become the new tradition here recently with Tennessee football, but I think fans are just ready to see this team play some games.
You know, it's funny, like there are time periods that you go through in Knoxville where the offseason is particularly long with regard to waiting for football, but you know, now the basketball team's really good. The baseball team had that run. So, you know, there's been a lot for you guys to talk about, I'm sure, but how ready is that market for this football season?
You are right. The summer is shorter. I was talking to somebody from the University of Tennessee just last week, and because of the success of basketball and baseball and fan interest, you get to, you know, into the month of June, and whenever the baseball season ends, it ended a little sooner than they hoped this past season, but still they went deep into the postseason. It's like, oh, you know, it's actually a pretty quick turnaround, but when you flip that switch and you get into football mode, people are all in with what this team can do. And I think that caused the excitement to start building up even more quickly. A year ago, there was still a little hesitation. Okay, we've gone through another coaching change. Is this offense going to work? Joe Milton's transferring in. By August, fans were into Joe Milton, but it still took some time. Now you have Hendon Hooker coming back, and you have Cedric Tillman coming back, and you have an offense that was top 10 in the nation last year and number 2 behind only Alabama last year. So, yeah, fans are all in, and you know the August tradition of you start adding another win or two to your win total prediction. This week it's been about how many points can Tennessee put up against Ball State. So fans are excited to see what this quarterback, what this offense can do coming back under Josh Heupel.
Okay, so what are fans most concerned about, or what is the concerning part about this roster and this team?
Well, I think fans have some natural defensive concerns because of how the season ended last year, finishing up in Nashville where the secondary without Alontae Taylor, who's now in the NFL, had some real issues. The positivity there would be that Tennessee has a good amount of depth at corner and in the secondary. So if
which is a new thing.
Or, yeah, if they have to go to somebody else, I don't think they feel like the drop-off would be too steep, but you know, how high of a level can they get performance from Warren Burrell, who comes back, or Christian Charles and Kamal Hadden, who step up into bigger roles? Those are questions. So I think obvious questions of concern would be defensive performance at a high level, replacing Alontae, Theo, who's there in Nashville, and then Matthew Butler on the defensive line, who's off to the NFL with the Raiders. The other spot would probably be left tackle, which is a very important position, and it's Gerald Mincey or Jeremiah Crawford. We should see both players kind of rotating tomorrow night. But by next week against Pittsburgh, Tennessee staff wants to know who the left tackle is, and they want to feel confident in that left tackle.
So what is your expectation level for this offense under Heupel in year two? Obviously, last year they're trying to implement a system with a bunch of players they're trying to get familiar with. Now you've got a bunch of guys that have been in it for a minute. You've got a returning quarterback, as you said, a returning wide receiver, Brew McCoy now eligible. What do you anticipate seeing from this offense in terms of point production, yardage production, all of those things?
Yeah, numbers were really high last year. There are some areas where they can actually improve. I've talked a lot this offseason, last few weeks, about red zone scoring. Tennessee wasn't actually very good. Now, they were great at hitting home runs and big plays, and that will continue to be there. But 4 starters do come back on the offensive line, and that's an area where you need to stay healthy, and you knock on wood when that comes up because you don't know what's behind those guys. And we're talking about a position where, injuries are almost expected. But yeah, I think on the interior, if Javonte Spraggins and Jerome Carvin are even better this year, Cooper Mays at center, I think they have a lot of confidence in him. Can they be better in short yardage situations running the football? Jabari Small is a player who has gotten a lot of talk coming out of camp. He's bigger. He's already shown that he can run the football. Can he stay healthy? If so, then I think this offense can really be effective running the ball. They have a freshman in Dylan Sampson who looks like a home run hitter in the offense. They do have to replace Javonte Payton, who was kind of a home run guy himself. You could count on him scoring a touchdown, it seemed like, every first quarter. So a lot of speed there. And then Velus Jones, who had a ton of speed and could do a number of different things within the offense. So enter Brew McCoy, who's not the same kind of player exactly compared to Velus. In some ways, he might be the opposite, but he's a guy that I think can still show catch and run ability, can run routes at different levels within the offense, and can be a physical player at that receiver position. Then they hope that Jalen Hyatt can hit some home runs. So my guess is that we see Tennessee take some shots tomorrow night to get Hyatt, to get McCoy going in the offense, and then Jabari Small is going to have that chance as well. But if Brew McCoy can be what they believe he can be after this past month of practice, then with Hendon Hooker coming back a full year in the system, and I think belief that he's developed even more with his understanding of what the coaches expect, from a points per game standpoint, yardage, all that stuff, then Tennessee could be pretty special, and Hendon could start knocking on some individual season records that are held by Peyton Manning.
Yeah, I think interesting point. Josh Ward with us from Knoxville on 3HL. Interesting point about the offensive line. You do have that competition at tackle. I also think Jackson Lampley can prove big in terms of being a rotational guy inside. I think depth is the offensive line is at a much better spot in terms of depth than it's been.
Yeah, I do think that's right. And, it could prove to be true that they like both Crawford and Mincey while still looking to settle on one guy. So if that's the case, then those two players, along with Dane Davis, who has played some and can also be a backup option, where, of course, you don't want Darnell Wright to go down because I didn't mention his name earlier, but he might be their top offensive lineman and top draft prospect on the offensive line. He's moved over to the right side, that they can start to feel more comfortable with more players. Lampley and Ollie Lane, who's played a good amount as an older player, he knows what to do when he goes in. As the season goes along, like tomorrow night, I don't think there's a ton of confidence if they go to somebody like Addison Nichols, a true freshman, but by October, maybe so, as he came in the spring and has practiced at a number of different spots. So they are, they're talented enough, and they have a lot more experience on the offensive line. And the way that Javonte Spraggins plays, his physical nature, and Jerome Carvin's, I think, one of the team leaders coming back on the left side of the offensive line at guard. Starting out, I think they're really good. If they have to deal with injuries and they have to move guys around, then you start to wonder chemistry, communication, all those issues. But I think they probably feel better right now than they did 12 months ago.
At Josh_Ward on Twitter, Josh Ward and Jason Swain, the show up there in Knoxville. Josh, the line is big, right? Like it's up to 35. Is Tennessee going to want to prove a point? Are they going to go after chunk plays and keep it on Ball State?
That's a good question. We've been trying to figure that out this week. Last year Bowling Green had that great first quarter, and then things slowed down. It's 14-6 in the middle of the game, and fans are wondering what's going on. And I don't think Josh Heupel like that. So I think he wants to get things going early, then get Joe Milton a chance to come in place of Hendon Hooker and get some of these freshmen that we've been talking about onto the field. And they're only going to do that early enough in the game if the starters have done what they're capable of. So my guess is yes. Part of the conversation this week, which can sometimes turn scary from a Tennessee fan standpoint, but it's can they get to 50-plus? And you also probably can guess what some of the fans want to see. They saw Vandy put up 63 against Hawaii and said, we got to go for 64-plus because we can't have, after the first week, Vanderbilt with the point-per-game advantage. So, but I think there is all the potential if things go right and they don't mess around and have penalties and make some silly mistakes for them to really light up the scoreboard early. And then if they put backups in and they give them an opportunity, I always want to see them just run the offense like you would with the starters, and I think there's a good chance that they do that. So that's a big number. You give up a score or two, you start to worry about keeping up with the 33, 34, 35 points. But in terms of Tennessee's side of things offensively, I think they have a good chance to do everything that's expected and more.
You going to keep a side eye on that Pittsburgh, West Virginia game?
Yeah, a lot of scouting going on, right? So you're if you're a Tennessee fan, you're watching and pulling for your team, but you're also looking ahead to next week to see what Tennessee's going to face. I don't know if fans pulling for West Virginia, they want Pitt to get the big head because they won in Knoxville last year and go back home. But, I think it'll be both sides. I think you'll see the double screen in Knoxville tomorrow night to see what Pitt's able to do because fans have circled that one. Of course, the Florida game is going to be big, and every game in the SEC is, but fans are not happy and believe they should have won that game last year against Pitt and expect to win it next week.
Josh Ward will help us preview Tennessee football, usually on Fridays. This fall, Josh Ward and Jason Swain every weekday from 11 to 2 on Sports Animal in Knoxville. Josh, appreciate you, man. Look forward to the game tomorrow.
You got it. Thanks a lot for having me.
At Josh_Ward. There you go. So does Tennessee cover that big line? I think they do.
You do.
What do you think Slay thinks?
We don't even have to ask. Yeah.
If Tennessee was favored by 46.5 over Ball State, where would Swain be? See, I'm trying to find that
He'd
number.
go 50.
He would go 50.
That's exactly what he would do.
Slay dog. All right, when we come back.
What's the number for you?
We'll talk about it when we come back. Okay. Also, some of the local teams in action over the weekend. We'll give them some love next. 3 Tell 104.5 The Zone. Upton Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. That's where you need to go to get that next new vehicle. If you've been thinking about it for a long time, go ahead and get it done. Call my friends at Upton Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. In fact, go online right now while you pretend to work. All of the dealership information, phone number, address, all that stuff is there. GuptonMotors.com. Also, the inventory is there. We just bought a Jeep. Absolutely love it. They've got tons of Jeeps for you from which you can peruse on the lot when you go see my friends at Upton Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. 3450 Tom Austin Highway in beautiful Springfield, Tennessee. That is where you will find the best car buying experience you've ever had. Car, truck, SUV, Jeep, whatever you're looking for, new or pre-owned, they'll be able to help you out. There will be no pressure on you at all because they simply want one thing, you and the vehicle that's right for you, and that's exactly what will happen. You go take your test drive, you'll go inside, they will help make the numbers work, and it'll be that easy. Again, GuptonMotors.com, 24 West to exit 35 straight shot, 3450 Tom Austin Highway in beautiful Springfield, Tennessee. That's Upton Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram.
Well, speaking of homes, maybe you are wanting to get cash out of yours and, value's up so much. And you're thinking about calling Loan Pronto. And you're thinking, why should I go with Loan Pronto? Don talks about him all the time, but why? Well, I'll tell you why. Because Loan Pronto was started by a guy who said that it needs to be easier and that you don't have to be buried in the paperwork. That's Roger Moore, the owner and founder of Loan Pronto. And he said there has to be a better way. He found a better way, just simplified the process. And the best part, the rates, the ability to get you, the consumer, the lowest rate. No extra fees going on, all electronic, all digital. The process is much more simple, and great mortgage rates is what Loan Pronto can get you. They've got 30-year fixed APRs right now in the 4s, 15-year APRs that start with a 3. Rates have come back down. A lot of people who maybe refinanced a couple of months ago had to take out loans a couple of months ago with 5 and 6% rates. You can now refinance and shave hundreds off of your payments. LoanPronto.com, 615-499-5780. Do it now. You could skip your next 2 house payments. That's 615-499-5780. loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
3-10-1045 The Zone. Brent Doherty, Don Davenport with you. Slay Dog back on his way back from Knoxville.
Yes.
What do you think, Slay Dog? Like, does Knoxville feel the impact of Ron Slay, even if he's there for like 4 hours?
Oh, I definitely think so. Everybody feels the impact of Ron Slay.
Like the Tennessee River, like just there's a wave that forms underneath the bridge. It just rolls like upstream.
Yeah.
Area teams in action this weekend. Ball State at Tennessee. Tennessee was a 33.5-point favorite. I think it's up to 35 now. I'll look in a minute. 6 o'clock on the SEC Network tomorrow night. Speaking of SEC teams real quick, this is not an area team, but Missouri hosting La Tech Thursday night also at 6 o'clock. Elon at Vanderbilt, 6 o'clock on Saturday, ESPN+. There is no point spread on this game. What would you make Vanderbilt in terms of point spread over Elon? Knowing nothing about Elon. In fact, I didn't even know Elon had a football team until Vanderbilt put them on the schedule.
Well, that should factor into your point spread then.
I knew they had a basketball team.
You know what? Prior to Hawaii, I wouldn't have said this. But the fact that Vanderbilt put up so many points on a team they're supposed to put up so many points on makes me feel better about it. So I would go 33.
How freaking good was Mike Wright in that game?
Yeah. You watched it because we were texting.
Oh my gosh. Well, number one, I love that kid having met him, but
Right.
and selfishly he listens to the show, so that's good too. But now the one thing is, like, the pass plays were all schemed up.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, and I only watched the game one time, and in real time you don't necessarily dissect things, but I didn't notice him going to the back of the pocket, going through reads, and then throwing. Like, it seemed like everything was scripted out, which is fine. But
It'll work for now.
Yeah, what's going to happen when the opponent gets tougher? If I'm a Vandy fan, I'm not even worried about that right now.
Yeah.
I'm just having fun with this team because you won 2 games last year, 63 points for the first time since 1969. And as Chris Lowe pointed out yesterday, for the first time against an FBS team since 49.
That's
I
crazy.
don't care who it's against. Screw
That's what
it.
I said.
Yeah.
And so prior to that game,
That was fun.
I am not sure that I would have thought that Vanderbilt could destroy an opponent like they're supposed to right now. And they can.
And how good was it to see, like, the defense flying around and creating havoc and getting turnovers?
And I noticed that in the spring.
You did.
Like,
You said that.
I told you. I was like, this defense is moving quicker. They're flying around. It looks different.
And again, selfishly, with my kids going to CPA, I love seeing Kane Patterson, the transfer from Clemson.
Yep.
Former 4-star linebacker from CPA. And his brother Langston Patterson, who is now a freshman at Vanderbilt, also a 4-star linebacker from CPA, lining up next to each other. I can only imagine what Wes and Camille, their parents, were thinking, watching their kids play on the same team again, but this time at the college football level.
Well, it was funny because I talked to Kane Patterson in the spring.
Yeah.
Because there's some people that were like, why would he go to Vanderbilt? He specifically transferred there because he wanted to play college football with his brother.
Yeah.
He specifically said, I'm going to play another year so that I can play college football with my brother.
Yep. And
like, that's pretty cool.
It's funny how different they both play linebacker, but how different they're both inside linebackers, but how different of players they are, because Kane is a thumper.
Right.
So a good example of what he was able to do, there was a screen pass out to the running back. He had man-to-man on the running back, so he was able to just run in a straight line right at that dude and blast him. And I love seeing that. Langston more athletic, I think. I think
he's going to be good.
Yeah, and so they're both productive guys. They just go about it in different ways. And Langston was out there on special teams and was able to read keys on his blocks. And so, yeah, really impressed with them.
By the way, how ridiculously athletic is that family?
Oh, it's they've got 2 more coming up. They've got twins that are younger.
Like, every single college football coach or baseball coach or whatever needs to get in on that those family reunions for now.
Rawls and Pep. Those are the twins that are coming up. So, yeah, you'll be hearing from them. Memphis at Mississippi State. You've got that one. Mississippi State by 14.5, 6:30 Saturday on ESPNU. You can see Don Davenport on the sideline.
Woo-hoo.
You and your buddy Mike Leach.
Yes.
No COVID restrictions this time. He doesn't have to figure out how to listen with a mask on.
He doesn't have to yell at me. I mean, I'm sure he will anyway at halftime, but, at least he doesn't have to openly yell at me.
Isn't it funny, like, how worked up that guy gets and, like, how laid back he really is?
Just talked to him today. What was he doing? He was throwing a ball with his dog. He was, like, kind of out of breath. I'm like, Coach, are you okay? What's going on? He's like, oh, yeah, I'm just throwing the ball with the dog before practice. Okay.
And then he proceeded to go into a 45-minute rant about dogs and how they're man's best friend.
Yes.
Yep.
Exactly.
MTSU at James Madison. I don't know why MTSU played that game. That's a dangerous spot to be in. James Madison, a 6.5-point favorite there.
Mm-hmm.
Western Kentucky.
Yeah, this year counts for them, right?
That's right. Western Kentucky at Hawaii. So I talked to Western today. They are leaving tomorrow, which that's kind of a short
That's a
turnaround.
super short trip.
Yeah, I don't know. Tennessee Tech at Kansas, TSU at Eastern Washington. So those are some of the local games. Todd Fuhrman joins us now. Todd, did you see Slay when Slay was on assignment in Vegas?
You know what? I'll say one thing. Dawn, you've drawn my ire over the last, couple of seasons or so because you get more days off than a government employee in the grand scheme of things. But you've definitely moved up the pecking order as far as my power ratings for all things 3HL, because at least when you're in Vegas, you'll send me a text, you'll reach out, you'll let me know, hey, look, I'm in your city. But Slay has ducked me like he owes me 10 stacks of high society. Doesn't send me a text, doesn't send me an acknowledgement, hasn't connected me with anybody in Knoxville for my bachelor party that's now 6 weeks away.
Oh,
so you know what? For all intents and purposes, Slay is pretty much dead to me at this juncture, so we'll see if we can repair that friendship going forward.
Oh, I love it. Hey, by the way, he's actually in Knoxville as we speak, so maybe he was doing some work for you today. Fuhrman.
Well, we purchased tickets on our own, so I open it up to any of the 3HL listeners that have spots they recommend for a tailgate, places to go. We'll be out there. I'll bring in 7 of my meathead buddies for the October 15th game against Alabama. And I can't promise that everyone is going to be stone cold sober from the moment we arrive to the moment we leave.
Better not be.
We are definitely looking forward to being out there and exposing a lot of former Big Ten graduates to what big boy college football looks like.
Wait, this is your bachelor party? Like, this is what is this what you do if you live in Vegas? You
go to Knoxville?
Do some random bachelor party in Knoxville?
Well, first off, taking a week off during football season is going to crush Brent because I'm going to play spoiler here. Bet the board will officially be dark that entire week. So we will not have any podcasts, NFL, college, or NASCAR.
What are you doing?
The first time in the history of what we've done. But yes, Don, I'll be out there for 6 days. I'm coming out there with my boy Payne for a couple of days before the bachelor party festivities. A lot of my friends have not been to Nashville. They haven't been to a big-time SEC football game. So we're spending Thursday and Friday night in Nashville. We'll take a bus across the state on Saturday. We'll go to Neyland for Alabama, Tennessee. Hopefully the Vols haven't been eliminated from bowl contention by that point in the season. And we want to try and enjoy all the festivities, the pomp and pageantry that comes with a massive SEC football game.
I like it better when you were setting that game up as I hope they're both undefeated at that point.
Right.
Well, I'm going to stay optimistic. But look, Brent, the best laid plans don't always come to fruition. And we've seen Tennessee football disappoint us in the past. So if we put them up on a pedestal and expect them to be undefeated going into that game, or maybe have one loss against Kentucky, Florida, or Pittsburgh, it's a little bit of a different dynamic. So I aim high, but I don't always keep my expectations in check.
Did you just go of mice and men with us during this spot? That's
okay.
Amazing.
Hey, every now and again I got to dig deep into my literary repertoire. I am somewhat well-read. You wouldn't know that by the way I speak now, but at one point in my life I used to think of myself as an academic.
At Todd Fuhrman, Bet the Board podcast. Listen every week except for that 1 week where he's going to be in Knoxville with a bunch of woo girls from Nashville. I don't know.
Well, you know what? Hold on 1 second, though. There is a chance if you guys will open up the doors to the studio that maybe Payne and I will pay a visit and do a live segment for 3HL if the invite stands.
Oh, man.
That'll be good. Maybe I'll be here.
I didn't think Payne Insider wanted anybody to know who he was.
He doesn't. So, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to convince him this is a good idea. You may have to bribe him with a couple of drinks at Tin Roof or another local establishment to really pull the strings.
That's very
good. Wear a mask.
All right, Todd Fuhrman with us at Todd Fuhrman on Twitter. All right, let's jump in. Ball State, Tennessee. Tennessee favored by 34.5. Is that too many points?
Yeah, lay it or don't play it. I think this number is going to continue to climb. When I look at Tennessee, there's obviously questions about this team defensively when they step up in class and caliber, but Ball State's not the kind of offense that's going to be able to put them on their heels. I look for Hendon Hooker to have a big, big day. I think Tennessee keeps their foot down on the accelerator, and they're able to ride some of the momentum, work out any potential kinks in the offense before next week's massive non-conference game against Pitt.
Speaking of Pitt, West Virginia and Pitt favored by 7 at home.
Yeah, interesting game because we've seen a little bit of a battle on this particular game. It did open as low as 5 in some spots during the summer. Number has ticked up to 7.5. Yes. That was kind of the stop point for professional bettors laying 7. I do think the general public is going to gravitate towards the favorite here. They know that Pitt brings back a lot of key contributors from last year, but the two that are missing that could change the dynamic of the offense, obviously Kenny Pickett and, of course, Jordan Addison. But Keaton Slovis, a fill-in. This is a de facto USC reintroduction game for Keaton Slovis on one side and JT Daniels on the other. I like this game under the total a little bit, and if you happen to have access to a West Virginia team total, I think this Mountaineers offense is going to struggle early on in the season against Pittsburgh's defensive front.
I don't know if you saw Keaton Slovis's nice little F-bomb he dropped for West Virginia, too, at a pep rally. So there you go. There's some billboard material for West Virginia.
I am thrilled that they're reviving this rivalry even for just one game. I mean, this used to be a fixture on the calendar for college football fans, and there's so much trolling going on, and I know this number won't carry nearly as much cachet with fans that don't follow it, but as iconic as 28-3 was for Atlanta Falcons fans, I saw a weather report that came out of one of the Pittsburgh news stations today to remember the 13-9 game where Dave Wanstead and company won outright against West Virginia as 4-touchdown underdogs, spoiling West Virginia's potential bid for a national title.
By the way, Slay is in our little Zone TV chat and said, I was about to let Todd come to the VFL tailgate, but that's out now.
Uh-oh.
Well, you know what? Tell Slay next time he's in Vegas, I'll make sure he can't go anywhere. So don't worry about it. That's fair play.
Wow. This is getting serious.
Hey, before I give you specific game here, I was telling the boys yesterday, I'm like, I feel like we have all these marquee matchups that we're talking about in Georgia and Oregon and Utah, Florida, Ohio State, Notre Dame, whatever. But then the spreads are not showing that it's going to be close games. You know what I mean? Why? Where are we?
Yeah, I mean, there's a massive disparity. I mean, this is no shock to anybody that watches college football, obviously, between the haves and have-nots. And when you look at where that line of demarcation comes this year, it's after the top 3. It's Alabama, it's Ohio State, it's Georgia, and then it's a precipitous drop until you try and figure out who the 4th best team in the country is, which on paper going into the season should be Clemson, but they obviously have to answer some questions about their ineffectiveness on offense that we saw all last year. And, of course, that'll be on display Monday night against Georgia Tech. So if Clemson can do things right offensively, clearly the 4 best teams in the nation. But that being said, games aren't played on spreadsheets. They're not played in the Vegas sports books. So when you try and identify what the recipe could be for an upset on the opening weekend, Notre Dame, I don't think, has the firepower. When you look at how thin they are at the wide receiver position, you're going to have to be able to score to match the Buckeyes. You can't try and turn this game into a 13-10 grinder. Oregon, in my opinion, is the one that's most compelling because Georgia has to replace a number of key cogs. We know that Kirby's recruited at such a high level, and they got a ton of younger players reps last year, given how many games were lopsided going late in the game. But you have that level of familiarity with Coach Lanning. Bo Nix won't be intimidated playing against a Georgia team, one that he's struggled with over the last couple of years, but by SEC speed and athleticism. And let's not sleep on Oregon's tandem of linebackers in Noah Sewell and Justin Flo. I think that game has everything, the elements at least, to be competitive from start to finish, more so than some of the other marquee games that have big numbers.
So did I hear Oregon plus the 17.5, and Ohio State minus the 17?
You definitely won't catch me laying 17 with Ohio State, knowing that game opened 10.5 during the summer. I do think that game has the potential to go over a total in the high 50s.
Okay.
It's just a question of Notre Dame can do. And as far as Oregon, Georgia, I mean, my number's not that much different. It's 14.5, so jumping from 14.5 to 17 doesn't get me a whole heck of a lot. But I think they at least have the pieces to keep that game competitive if they're not blown off of the field by the speed and physicality. And for Oregon, hey, look, they only have to go back a season to show what they were able to do on the road as 2-touchdown dogs against Ohio State.
Utah, number 7 in the country. Don mentioned this game at the Swamp in a night game. Utah favored on the road by 2.5. What do you think?
And this is the game, honestly, of all the marquee matchups that I'm going to be most fascinated to watch because Utah is boom or bust as far as trying to be the Pac-12 representative to get into the college football playoff, and a loss here to a team, at least on paper, projected to finish in the middle of the SEC East won't exactly be a ringing endorsement. These two teams not that familiar with one another, only the second ever meeting in program history. We can call it the Urban Meyer Bowl, as he's the top 10 in terms of wins at both programs. And the crazy part about it, Utah in their program history has won 13 of the last 14 season openers. Florida's won 31 of 32. But you look at the dynamics in play here, and this is a Utah team that when they step up in class hasn't exactly fared all that well on the road. I mean, they had some landmine games last year where the defense looked average. I think there are a lot of questions about what Billy Napier is going to have this Florida offense able to do early on. And it's rare to be able to get a home underdog in this kind of electric environment, in my opinion, that'll have the better quarterback in Anthony Richardson. So if the number got to 3.5, it would be a small value bet for me on Florida. But right now, I'm actually just sitting on an under ticket.
Okay.
I think a price at 51.5 or better makes some sense. Wouldn't shock me at all if it's the first team to 24 to win in Gainesville.
Todd, what do you think about that Florida State LSU game?
This is a game that's interesting because I know a lot of people won't pay much attention to it, but we can only have to go back a season. And Brian Kelly's defense struggled mightily against the very same offensive attack that he's going to see here from Florida State. The Seminoles are a little bit better as far as their skill position players are concerned. Still some major reservations about the offensive line. They have a game under their belt, which I think sometimes can hurt teams because you have to put things on tape. And we have no idea what LSU is going to be. I mean, from an athlete standpoint and recruits, hey, look, they have everything you'd want from a team that can be a legitimate dark horse if things were to break the right way. But I've seen too much bad tape on Jaden Daniels to lead me to believe that suddenly they're going to be able to fix everything with this talented quarterback, a little bit of a run-first option. I lean Florida State myself, but I actually like the game over the total a bit on a fast track. The one thing that scares me off a little bit is I don't think this number accounts for enough home field advantage for LSU, being treated a little bit more like a neutral, which won't be the case when it's 90% purple and gold.
Todd Fuhrman with us at Todd Fuhrman. Is there another game out there, some random game that you love that we need to know about?
I figure we should spend a lot of time breaking down JMU and Middle Tennessee State, right? I mean, are these the kind of games that are off limits for you this season, Coach Doherty?
I don't know. I need to evaluate that.
This is a game that has taken some over money from 56 out to 58. A lot of talk coming out of Murfreesboro that this offense is going to get out there and try and air it out a ton from everything that I've read. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition. James Madison, no doubt, the class of the FCS, but we've seen teams that make the jump to try and get the depth. I think it could be a little bit problematic. So for me, I actually like the underdog a little bit, and I like the game over the total. Trying to find some numbers, though, that haven't moved a ton is definitely a challenge. I hate giving out games that I've bet at different price tags that are out there. So one game that hasn't moved an awful lot is actually North Carolina and Appalachian State. It's not the side I want to look at where we've seen App State take money to go from a 3-point dog down to pick 'em. But I think the total at 56 is a touch too high. This will be a much different dynamic for Drake May and Josh Downs than what they encountered last week in FAMU. I know App State brings back a ton of experience, especially at quarterback and Chase Bryce and Cameron Peebles in the backfield. But I think this game will be a little bit cagier than that number suggests. I'll make a small play under 56. I value bet it since I made the game 53.5.
Todd, I am headed to Stark Vegas, one of the other Vegases. We got Nash Vegas, Stark Vegas, your Vegas. 16.5 is what I think this was looking at against Memphis. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll put it in perspective. Stark Vegas was not one of the destinations we considered for a bachelor party, even if the Mississippi State, and the potential to get our hands on cowbells. This is a game I did bet, but at a number that's not available. I actually laid 13.5 with the favorite here in Miss State. I'm not high on Memphis this season. I think this is a team that's going to struggle to match some of the athleticism here. Now, I know this is one of the weirder games that we saw on last year's calendar, some unique, shall we say, snafus from the officials. That allowed the game to get slightly off the rails. When I look at this total here, I can also see making a case for the under. I know it's hard for folks to wrap their head around a team that's as pass-happy as Mississippi State, but this team a lot more athletically defensively than they get credit for. So I lean towards the favorite and lean towards the under at the current numbers.
Love it, Todd.
Nice.
At Todd Fuhrman, Bet the Board podcast. You need to listen. Thank you, Todd. Appreciate it.
Hey, always a pleasure, guys. And Slay, there's no love lost here, my friend. You're going to have to earn your way back into my good graces.
Wow. Challenge.
I love it.
Interesting. All right. When we come back, we'll explore who's maybe the third best team, who's the fourth best team in college football. Danny Kanell joins us next on 104.5 The Zone. Buddy Allen Carpet One, they are your flooring experts. If you're thinking about a flooring project, these are your guys. Don't go to one of the big box stores. They're going to turn you over to another company for installation anyway. Not at Buddy Allen. They will handle everything in-house. Locally owned and operated by the Allen family for more than 55 years. Zach, Jenna, and Judson Allen are in the store every day, which means they will know every bit about what's going on with your flooring project. Check them out in Donaldson at 2405 11 Pike, 615-883-3289, BuddyAllenCarpet1.com. 3HL 104.5 The Zone. Brent Doherty, Don Davenport with you. Ron Slay on his way back from Knoxville to Nashville. Look out, I-40.
Woo. It's coming.
Hey, we're going to continue to talk college football as everything gets really underway. Well, except for Nebraska fans. Is that too low a blow? Tomorrow, Tennessee and Ball State. Catch the action right here on 104.5 The Zone. Alabama, the best team in the country. Can we all agree on that?
Yeah.
Ohio State, number 2.
Yeah.
Can we all agree on that?
Mm-hmm.
Who's 3 and 4? Danny Kanell joins us now thanks to betonline.net. Danny, what's up? How are you?
I am fantastic. I got to be honest with you guys, Brent, Dawn. I feel a little cheated because I don't get the full experience. Like my guy Ron's not around. I almost feel like I don't get the whole shebang. I'm a little bummed, but I do love talking to you guys, so I can't wait, man. It is college football season. We got a full slate. I am so amped up. It's been such a long off season. We're talking so much about TV rights deals and NIL and conference realignment. Just get us to the games, and we are almost there with this weekend kicking off tomorrow.
Do you agree with me that Alabama is the best team and Ohio State's right there, and then we got to figure out what the rest of it is?
I do. Those are my top 2 teams to play for the national championship when it's all said and done. I'm not, Georgia fans. They get a little bit mad at me. I gotta see it. He's building Alabama East, and he's got his first national championship. Kirby Smart, that is. But the hardest thing to do in sports is repeat, and it's really hard to maintain that standard. It's something that makes Nick Saban the greatest coach of our generation, is that he holds them to that standard and they respond to it. I mean, there's just a natural human inclination to let off the gas a little bit, to not do those little things, to maybe not work quite as hard. And I think you'll see a little bit of a setback for Georgia, but they still are a 2-touchdown favorite in every single game they play this year. So it's not like they're not going, and they're gonna be in the national conversation.
Yeah.
And there's an outstanding chance they probably play in the playoffs again. But I still think there might be a slip up or two and some shockers for the Georgia Bulldogs. I don't see it for Alabama or Ohio State just yet.
Kanell, what ACC team is going to contend?
I'm going to go a little chalky here. And I know, I would love trust me, I wish we were talking about my Florida State Seminoles. Maybe we can talk about their game. I'm not that dumb, though. I got to keep some credibility. I think Clemson is –
It's never stopped you before, Kanell. Come on.
Oh, that is true, though. All right, so Clemson is a team that I think people are writing off and, predicting their demise way too soon.
Yeah.
And I get it. It was a down year, and I use air quotes, but they still finished 10-3. Now, they did have some losses. They lose Tony Elliott, their offensive coordinator, to Virginia. They've been through offensive coordinators before. They had Chad Morris. Then they go to Jeff Scott. Then he leaves to South Florida. Then they've been through that cycle. The bigger concern for me is Brent Venables. Obviously, he's been a staple there with Dabo for the last decade, and their defense has been phenomenal. But here's why I'm not too worried about it. Brent Venables didn't make those tackles. He doesn't make sacks. The guys on that defense do, and they have some absolute studs on the defensive side of the ball. I think similar to Georgia last year, Clemson's defense could be one of the most dominant defenses in the country. And while they figure out their quarterback position, which ultimately I think they do, I think their schedule is enough. They can stay right there.
Is Miami the rub in the ACC for Clemson? Is that the team that could get them?
Yeah, which is why I'm kind of well, good luck, Miami. They're not in the same stage yet. They might be in a couple years. I like the Mario Cristobal hire. I love their quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke, but he's learned a new system himself. There's going to be – I think they're a 9-3 team, which is great. I mean, I think that'll still have some Miami fans excited about the future, but they're not ready. I don't think they're ready to compete top to bottom depth, especially along the offensive and defensive line yet, where I think Clemson is still in another category. I get it's tricky. It's fun to, poke fun at Clemson and say, hey, this is the end of Dabo. I'm not buying it just yet. He's got a really strong culture there of family, of buy-in, and they've got some talent on that roster too. So I still think Clemson is that team from the ACC that'll take over Miami. NC State, they slayed the Dragon last year. I do like Dave Doran. Their win total I love. I think it's at 8.5. I love the over NC State's win total, but I don't think they're going to go back-to-back. And this time they have to go to Clemson in the middle of the season. I don't think they're going to go 2 years in a row to beat the Clemson Tigers.
I do have to call you out on this one. What's Nebraska's win total?
Oh, so you must be seeing my tweets because I think they can get over it.
I stalk you, Kanell.
Yes, that's good.
To see what I can disagree with you on.
I mean, she comes in. Have you seen Kanell's tweet about blah, blah, blah?
Right? All right. So, and at least it wasn't SEC related. That's a good
That's
thing.
true.
I've been much better. I've used a lot more self-control in my troll tweets to the SEC, which are so much fun. I just love the reaction. But here's the thing. So I'm watching that game unfold, and I'm watching Nebraska look awesome in the first half. 14-3, they go up. Casey Thompson, their quarterback, looks like he's a Heisman Trophy winner. And in the back of my mind, in the back of everybody in the country, everyone who was watching that game was thinking, I wonder if they win this thing because they blew a lot of these 14-3 leads last year. And then sure enough, what happens? Northwestern starts coming back, and then Nebraska gets an 11-point lead. They, respond, and they're in a position to take control of the game. And Scott Frost decides to go for an onside kick. And I actually like the decision. I don't like it. I had no problem with his decision. Here's why. It is all mental for this Nebraska Cornhuskers team. They don't know how to win. It is like this, and it's kind of like if you've ever played shortstop and you have a couple errors and you're thinking, please don't hit the ball to me. Please don't hit the ball to me. And what happens every single time? You get the ball hit right to you.
Yep.
There, when they get a lead, they're like, oh, gosh, we can't lose. We can't lose. We can't lose. And then what happens? They lose. So I thought Scott Frost, he had been preaching to his team all camp, we're going to be aggressive this year. And we're not going to play not to lose. We're going to play to win. And I thought that was an aggressive call that he's trying to create a culture of we're going to blow this team out. We're not going to sit back. We're going to go and try to steal a possession. Now it backfired, and it clearly was a decision that might end up costing him his job. But I think his players appreciated that he put some faith in him, and I still think they'll respond to him. And I think they're going to be 4-2 after 6 games with a big road game against Purdue, which I think they could win. So when it's all said and done, I think they could get to 7-5 when it's all said and done. Now, it's kind of sad, and we can talk about Florida State, but we're talking about a storied program like Nebraska. 7-5 is like a successful season. But I do think that would be a successful season for the Nebraska Cornhuskers this year.
Interesting. So outside the Florida State LSU game, what other game interests you the most this weekend?
I'll stay with the SEC, and I'm going to go with I can't stand them. And Utah's got to travel to the armpit of Florida, which is known as Gainesville, where the Florida Gators play, and it's like the worst stadium out there. Where Utah better know what they're getting into because they're going to get cursed at, they're going to get spit on, bags of urine thrown at them. I've been there, I know all about it. But you do have a Pac-12 favorite in Utah. It's either Utah or USC, but Utah is one of the favorites to win the Pac-12, traveling into not a neutral. And how does the SEC get away with these neutral games in New Orleans for LSU and Atlanta for Georgia? But this is not neutral in any sense of the term. This is a home game at the Swamp. I think this game is compelling for so many reasons. One, you've got Utah trying to make the playoffs for the Pac-12, first time in 5 years. And then you've got Florida, who you guys may find this hard to believe. I think people are kind of sleeping on Florida. This is a team last year that lost by 2 to Alabama, and it was a 2-point conversion coming up just short. They played Georgia pretty tough for a half, and then Anthony Richardson had 2 awful turnovers, and you look up and it's 17-3 and the game was over. But they physically were toe-to-toe with them for a half, and then they threw in the towel. And that was Dan Mullen's fault because he set a culture of if we're not playing for championships, then what are we doing? I mean, he said that in the Cotton Bowl when they played Oklahoma. He's like, we're just treating this as a scrimmage. When you tell your players that, they're going to respond like that. So they threw in the towel on him, and it's what cost him his job. Billy Napier is going to have a standard of excellence, I think, that's going to be competitive, that's going to be tough, that's going to be physical, and I think they'll be up for the task. It's actually one of my favorite plays for the weekend is to take the Florida Gators at home as the home dog. I think Utah is a good team. I still think they should get considered for the playoff if they run the table, even if they lose that game. But I just think it's going to be a great game, and I think it'll be a fascinating game to watch. And Utah, they don't know what they're getting into. Yes, they play at some loud venues, and Oregon and Washington are loud, But the thing I don't think they can prep for is humidity they're going to see in Gainesville. I mean, it's a swamp for a reason.
Oof.
You know, you're trying as a quarterback, you try to throw a ball that's wet because your center's butt is soaking or he's dripping sweat down his helmet on the football. Like, it's those type of things that you can't replicate when you play in, you know, in the dryness out in Salt Lake City where it's hot and they're probably like, what's the big deal? It's 90 out here. It's not 90 degrees with 100% humidity, which is what it's going to be in Gainesville on Saturday night.
Is that why you preferred the shotgun? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I absolutely love. And Utah will do that some too. But even in the shotgun, your center like stands over the ball and he looks down either to see, you know, through his legs if you do a leg kick, or he kind of looks around. He drips sweat on the ball. And I'd almost rather have a rain. I'm serious. I'd rather have a rainy game where you know it's going to be wet than have a sweaty center where sometimes it's wet and sometimes it's not. It's the worst.
I love
and
it.
it's little things like that. Ball security, like you got to worry about it.
In more ways than one. Danny Kanell with CBS with us at Danny Kanell on Twitter. Thanks to betonline.net. Thank you, Danny.
You guys are the best. Next time, get Ron on here. I want to have the full threesome.
On it.
That sounded weird.
Phrasing.
That did sound weird. Thank you, Danny.
See you guys.
See you, Kanell.
I guess it would be a foursome.
Oh.
We can play golf. All right, when we come back, your chance to break down some football, college football. We've talked a lot about it. The Titans with their initial 53. What do you think about that? Your turn, 615-737-1045.
Let's get to it. Let's get to it. What is we getting to? We getting to the book, and we getting to the money. Superbook Sports. I'm talking about you don't need to be at the game, not to enjoy the football. What you can do is you can bet, and that's what I'm going to do. Yes, right now, Superbook has lines up for every pro football game for the rest of the season. Plus, which team will win the title, who's the MVP, and who will be the surprise in the SEC. That's a good question. We'll get to that later in the show, but wager on all that and more right now at Superbook Sports, along with football. Superbook Sports app. That's where you go. You can download it, make all your bets right there on your handheld device or your laptop, or visit superbook.com and start placing bets now. Offering up to $1,000 bonus when you sign up, deposit, and wager in this same day. So you can bring Vegas straight to the palm of your hands. And now, yes, get into action right now with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem, call 1-800-899-9789. You know the motto when you win the money, but you first gotta book it.
Good evening from the Superbook.com sports desk. I'm Joe Hunk. Titans practice squad roster is set. And yes, it includes a lot of familiar names that we announced yesterday being let go, including Laurel Murchison, that was just mentioned during the press conference for General Manager John Robinson and Mike Vrabel. Also added to the practice squad would be Des Fitzpatrick, Theo Jackson, the VFL, Jordan Ruse, and yes, quarterback Logan Woodside. Josh Gordon is reportedly by the NFL Network in Nashville to visit with the Tennessee Titans. They talked about it during the press conference, and J-Rob basically said, we're going to try out a bunch of people. And you're looking around tonight looking for something to do. Nashville Sounds in town hosting the Memphis Redbirds. They won last night. First pitch is at 7:05. And yeah, the Strike Zone's going to be broadcasting live from there as well at 7. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Vols, the flagship station for your Tennessee Titans and home to 3HL. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Yo, what up, 3HL 104.5 The Zone. Brent Doherty, Don Davenport. Late to the 5 o'clock hour. But she doesn't give a damn.
I don't give a damn. Just kidding, boss.
Ron Slay's been working in Knoxville today. He's going to check in at some point this hour. I think he's riding back to Nashville just fuming over his failed relationship with Todd Fuhrman.
Well, because he can't, defend himself.
That's right.
What I should have told Fuhrman was that Slay's Vegas trip is way different than a Dawn Vegas trip. That's why I actually check in with him.
Well, it's not like this relationship has been on sturdy ground for years or anything. I mean, they go at each other every single time that they're on the phones.
It's always fun, too. At the Ron Slay on Twitter. Don Davenport, TM, Brent Doherty. Hope you're having a great Wednesday. This is College Football Eve if you're a Tennessee fan or a Missouri fan. If you happen to be a Missouri fan out there running around.
We have some here in town.
No question. This is an SEC melting pot for sure.
Yep.
And we will talk about all of the college football, all of the season, and the NFL. The general manager, John Robinson, today addressing things with the media, saying Racey McMath did hit IR. Cody Hollister has been signed to the active squad. Said they didn't think they could get Julius Chestnut through waivers to get him on the practice squad, so he is on the current 53. And they're going to work out a lot of guys this fall when asked about Josh Gordon, as Hunk brought you that bit of news during the update. Vrabel, talking about the Giants, said they watch the Giants for personnel. All three main pieces of the coaching staff are new. Brian Daboll was the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator, now the head coach of the Giants. Mike Kafka, the offensive coordinator of the Giants, spent the last 5 years in Kansas City with Andy Reid. So you can look at that offense. Last 2 seasons, he was the quarterbacks coach and passing game coordinator. And Wink Martindale, the defense coordinator, 35 years in the league, last 4 seasons as Ravens defensive coordinator. If you want in on that, all of the college football activity we've got going on, Tennessee, Ball State, Georgia, Oregon, Utah, Florida, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Mississippi State, Memphis, West Virginia, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Arkansas, I can go on. And I love it. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, college football.
Monday, too, yes.
615-737-1045. You want in? Cheeseburger next up on 3HL. Cheeseburger, what's up?
What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing today?
Hey, we're good, Mr. Burger.
Hey, I'm doing good, too. I love y'all show. Hey, tell Ron Slay next time he's on here, I want to join his boom boom room. I want to go in there. And also, I want to give a shout-out to my buddy V-Love. V-Love, he is awesome. He is my best friend, man. Me and him are buddies. I just want to give a shout out to him. But
oh, that's so sweet of you, Cheeseburger. V-Love he's an OG member of the 3HL crew for sure.
He's OG. Hey, also, I like this Titans 53-man roster. I love it. I like I like who he kept, and I like the practice squad guys. I think we're gonna have a really great season this year. I can see us maybe getting to a Super Bowl this year. We'll have to see how it plays out. But also, can you hit on the Florida State LSU game?
Yeah.
I see my Seminoles making a comeback this year. Bama, bye-bye, see ya. It's time for Florida State to take it over.
There he goes, Cheeseburger.
Maybe.
He mentioned V-Love. The first time I met V-Love, I love telling this story. We were doing a broadcast at like 10 in the morning at Nissan Stadium in a tent in advance of the Music City Bowl, North Carolina and Tennessee. And so it was Derek Dooley and all those guys. And so in walks this guy, and he's got, I think it was Natty Light in each hand, tall boys. And he sat down by himself right in front of us, a table right in front of us, and listened to the show. And it was V-Love. That's what I remember.
Nice. You remember that?
Yeah, of course. How would you not?
V-Love's like all in shape.
Oh, yeah. That was
like
old
a runner.
V-Love. Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, a guy walks in with two tall boy Natty Lights at 10 in the morning. Are you kidding
Speaking your
me?
language right there. Come on in.
Yeah, so with regard to Florida State and LSU, it's an interesting game because of where Florida State is, trying to grow that program. Everybody's just waiting for Deion Sanders to be named head coach. Well, they should be better this year, right? But the unknown is LSU. What do you have with LSU? I talked to Mike Detillier about that LSU football team, I don't know, for about 30 minutes when we were at SEC Media Days. And he's like, man, there are some dudes on this roster.
That's
and there
what I was
always
gonna
are.
say. There was so much talent. Usually you see a coaching change and it's depleted. There's still a lot of talent on that LSU roster. A lot of talent. And people just don't realize it yet.
Well, and so, I think defensively they're going to be really good. I don't know. They're 2.5 3-point favorite over Florida State in New Orleans. I know Tennessee obviously plays in Baton Rouge this year, and you really don't know what's going to go on there. Jaden Daniels, the transfer from Arizona State. Todd Fuhrman just said, I've seen enough bad tape on him to have questions about what's going to go on with
I saw him
offense.
in person twice.
You saw him in person twice, but here's the thing about Jaden Daniels. If you sit there and watch him, he's got all kinds of ability. It's just there's some kind of disconnect in there somewhere.
Well, there's no consistency for one.
Right.
And that's a part of it. And he had some playmakers around him too, to where it should have been easier to be consistent last year. And there was so much talk about, his last year step and how it was, it was going to be such a big leap because of understanding of offense and playbook and all of that. And it just wasn't.
Keyshawn Butte, really good at wideout.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Betch, another wide receiver. We talked with him at Media Days.
Yeah.
Mike Detillier told me Will Campbell, who is a true freshman, left tackle, might be the best offensive lineman he's ever seen at LSU. So, they've got pieces. They always do. And Brian Kelly, like him or not, is a really good coach.
He can coach.
So I kind of like LSU in that game.
I just don't know what it's going to take at Florida State, right? I mean, they did at least win. Didn't they win last week, their first season opening win in a while?
They played Duquesne.
I don't care. Guess what?
You better be Duquesne.
You better, but guess what? There's no telling with Florida State recently, so.
Let's do this. Let's have some fun with audio when we come back. We've got J-Rob. We've got Mike Vrabel, but we also have Jim Harbaugh talking about his starting quarterback decision. He went biblical with it.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh is he's stepping out on a limb this year in his press conferences.
We've got Sam Pittman trying to figure out who's bringing what to the party. And we've got Marcus Freeman. Somebody told him what the spread was in the Notre Dame Ohio State game. All that coming up. Stay tuned.
Oh, really?
3HL 104.5 The Zone, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. You're going to hear from Marcus Freeman when he learns that the spread in that Notre Dame game, 17.5. Maybe keep that in mind. FanDuel wants you to be ready for game day. College football kicking off 100% this weekend, and that is one of the games that you could bet. By the way, I don't know. I might go Notre Dame to cover that. Brent thinks I'm crazy. But right now, new customers, if you sign up with FanDuel, you can get $150 in free bets. There you go. You can use one of your free bets guaranteed for week one. If you just place at least a $5 bet, you get $150 in free bets. You can use that to go jump in on that Notre Dame Ohio State game, win or lose, by the way. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, it's a perfect time to give it a shot. The app, easy to use. They're hooking you up with great odds, and when you win, you get paid fast. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook and sign up with promo code DAWN, DAWN. Download that FanDuel app, place a $5 bet, get $150 in free bets guaranteed to kick off the college football season. That is promo code DAWN, DAWN. You got to be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable free bets. Expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Yes, indeed, boy. I'm telling you this. It is football time in Tennessee. And if you're from Ball State, you driving to the game, be careful. Because if you anything like your team, you going to need Apple Collision Centers, man.
What? That is really how you started this conversation?
It's football time, Babs. Everybody gets it.
Jeez. Apple Collision Centers. I'm sure they'll love this start to the conversation here. You know what? I'm gonna bring it back to. Here's the deal. They work with your insurance company after you need help or get into a collision or have dents or whatever. And a lot of insurance companies want to put aftermarket parts in cars, but they don't do that.
Right.
They only use OEM. Original equipment manufacturer parts.
Well, if that's the case, then they will work with your insurance and even help arrange a rental. They do even do towing. Also, free estimates and do repairs for hail damage, auto accidents, dents, and if a bomb just comes out of nowhere out of Neyland Stadium and hits your car with one of those footballs, they'll even fix that.
Hendersonville, Gallatin, or Hickory, 3 locations. You want more information? Go schedule a free estimate or learn more at applecollisioncenters.com.
3HL 104.5 The Zone. A lot of people concerned about Eastern Kentucky head coach Walter Wells.
Yeah.
Had a heart incident over the
Cardiac
weekend.
episode is what they're calling it.
That's probably a better way to put it.
Yes.
But anyway, he is alert, and it is an absolute miracle. Without going into too much detail, I know a lot of people in this market know Coach Wells, and
Yeah,
and are
McGavick
praying-
High School.
McGavick High School, and are praying for him, as are we. And so keep his sweet family and him in your prayers, and
Was on the staff at Tennessee for a
Briefly.
couple of, yeah, was it just a year?
just a year, yeah.
Yeah.
Butch's last year. Butch's last stand.
Yep.
Maybe it was 2 years. I don't know. Anyway, very, very talented offensive line coach, very, very talented coach in general, and all-around good guy. So
Awesome guy, yeah.
Yeah, prayers up. He's eating on his own today, off the ventilator, all those things. So
Oh, that's huge.
it's absolutely amazing. So we hope that he can come on one day and tell the story. But
yes.
But anyway, yeah. So I know obviously we talk about this all the time. This is such a prayerful market, and we certainly appreciate that. And if you are of that nature, include Walt Wells and his family. Thank you. 615-737-1045 at 3HL1045. Let's roll through some of this audio real quick, and then we'll go back to the phone, 615-737-1045. This hour, we're talking college football, the NFL. The Titans' initial 53-man roster is out. What do you think about that? They play the Giants next week. But Michigan, Jim Harbaugh, trying to decide what's going to happen with regard to his quarterback situation, and I think he kind of rolls through how he made the decision right here.
It's a process for me to stand up. I mean, no person, that's biblical. No person knows what the future holds, and it's a process, and it's going to be based on performance. You know, both have been tremendous quarterbacks. We think that both are capable of leading our team to a championship. So, I mean, that's good. We're going to keep cultivating that. And people have asked, was that, how'd you come to that decision? And was it based on some kind of NFL model? No, it's really based biblical. Solomon, he was known to being a pretty wise person.
There you go. Solomon was a very wise person.
That was kind of odd.
It's Harbaugh. That's how he is.
Yeah, but
so I mean, it looks
Dawn.
Yeah, it looks like all that aside, it looks like he's going to play one and then play the other, like game to game, and try to figure it out.
I don't know, but that never works.
Yeah, he's starting one game 2, and then whoever does better in those 2 games will play in game 3.
Right. So they play Colorado State at home, then they play Hawaii at home. So what are you going to learn against Hawaii? Hawaii's going to be 0-2 because Western Kentucky is going to get down there, and Big Red's going to whoop that ass. So Hawaii's going to go to Michigan 0-2. And then Harbaugh's going to play a different quarterback, and then what's he going to learn? Because then he's got – look at the schedule, man. Colorado State, Hawaii, UConn, and Maryland. Then at Iowa, at Indiana. Indiana going to be any good? What's your husband say about that?
We don't talk about IU football.
Let's ask Buck next time he's on.
Yep.
Oh, Buck doesn't know. Then they play Penn State, Michigan State, at Rutgers, Nebraska. Scott Frost, all hands on deck. Illinois, and then at Ohio State. I don't know. I don't know what to think about Michigan. I'll bet they're not the 8th best team in the country. That's what I would say.
Yeah. I think that's probably a fair bet.
But I didn't think they would be anything last year, and they had a really good season, 12-1 in the regular season. So go figure. And they beat
Always
Ohio
that
State.
one.
I didn't think that was possible at all.
Yeah, that's true.
Our guy Sam Pittman is hilarious. This is funny. Like, Sam Pittman is like SEC coach from the 80s almost. You know what I mean?
Like Spurrier-like?
Like Spurrier, like, I don't know, Joe Lee Dunn, like, I mean.
And no filter.
Yeah, and just like old country guy that doesn't care, what comes out of his mouth. Like,
Let's
he's not
just talk football.
Yeah.
But he's like a kind person.
very
Right.
awesome dude. He's the kind of guy you want to hang out with because he's going to tell you exactly what he thinks.
Yep.
And he's going to have a good time. And so are you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny because, like, in the course of this soundbite, he goes from talking about football in, like, a legitimate way to who's bringing what to the party.
They've got two separate quarterbacks that might, who knows who's going to play, and not positive who the running back's going to be yet. But we do know, and they got a new coordinator. So you don't know exactly what they're going to do. But I think we've got enough defense in that we can attack whatever we see. I think the first couple series are going to be really important to figure out kind of what they're bringing to the party. Some guys bring iced tea and some guys bring liquor. And you just got to figure out what they're bringing. Hey, go into 2-minute offense. You'll figure out what kind of party you're going to on the first play. They come after you. You're going home. Okay, this is what kind of party it's going to be. Or they'll drop 8 and you got to dink and dunk and get down in there. So the first 2 series on both sides of the ball will be a big, big thing on Saturday, in my opinion.
Arkansas and Cincinnati, and it's funny because Cincinnati's not releasing a depth chart. So when he was talking about, like, I don't know who the running back's going to be, like, I think that was like a little veiled shot at Fickle or whatever. But
I told you it was the Felipe Franks when he did not start game, Arkansas, Missouri, and Pittman didn't tell us. We were the broadcast crew. He didn't tell us until, I don't know, about 30 seconds before kick is when I got it out of him, maybe a minute before kick. Yeah. He likes to keep those secrets.
He does. You know what else is not a secret, but I guess it was a secret to Marcus Freeman? The point spread in the Notre Dame game. Notre Dame, Ohio State. So Notre Dame's the 5th-ranked team in the country, yet they are a 17.5-point underdog at Ohio State. And I actually like Ohio State with all of those points in this matchup. I love Marcus Freeman.
Yeah.
I do. And I think big picture, like, he's going to be a great fit at Notre Dame. But where we sit currently, I just think Ohio State is it's them and Alabama, the most explosive teams in the country.
Right. And what do we talk about? The haves and the have-nots. And there's a big difference in the top 3 teams and everybody else.
Well, so Marcus Freeman, the Notre Dame football coach, was having a press conference, and somebody let him in on the fact that Notre Dame is a 17.5-point underdog.
Well, I didn't know that. I'm going to write that down. You said 17.5 points, right? We'll use that in the team meeting today, It's good to know. I haven't paid much attention to the spread, but I remember that one time we were on College Game Day, I said, just keep making go up and up.
Aha.
So Feinbaum went off on Marcus Freeman.
What? How? In what way?
He was just like, look, man, y'all aren't that good. Like, why are you getting worked up over 17.5-point spread? Like, you shouldn't even be concerned about it. And my take is, like, he was in a press conference and somebody told him. What else is he going to say?
I think he was being kind of funny.
I did too. And he was a little light.
But can I say this?
Feinbaum's not really light, though.
I'm sorry.
Not his thing.
I don't believe that coaches don't look at the spread.
Oh, they all know.
I don't believe that any of y'all don't know what the media is talking about or know what, people are tweeting. Not necessarily tweeting, but I get that you're focused and all of this, but there's no way you don't know what Vegas thinks you don't want to know or have anything to do with what Vegas thinks about how your game's going to go.
I guess I'm trying to figure out, like, what would any of us say in that moment, right? Because, like, I think Ohio State's going to blast them. So if Ohio State blasts them after he says all this stuff about, we're going to use that as bulletin board material and blah, 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 then it doesn't look good, right? But in all honesty, if you're Marcus Freeman, what do you do in that moment? You say exactly what he did. Oh, okay, us against the world. We're going to use that as bulletin board material.
I mean, I think you just say something boring and then we don't end up talking about it. But I would prefer this, obviously. But what do you say as a coach? You say, oh, great, whatever. We'll see what happens on the field.
Right, but every coach thinks he's going to win every game, too, right? Like, so
you better, otherwise you ain't going to last long.
Exactly. So Marcus Freeman's sitting there thinking, hey, we're trying to figure out a way to beat Ohio State. That's our goal, and that's our plan, and that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
He's not trying to cover 17.5 necessarily.
Say bet the dog. If I was y'all, I'd bet the dog. Just go ahead and say it. Just bet the dog on it.
It is funny, though, like how open and legalized sports gambling is all over the place now, to where these are talking points. in situations where they normally would never have been talking points.
And think about it. He's at the Christian school with the touchdown Jesus. Like, what would if he'd have said anything else? How would this have went down?
My favorite touchdown Jesus story is when Tennessee beat Notre Dame and Notre Dame missed a field goal. And Jeremy Lincoln blocked it with his butt. And after the game, Jeremy Lincoln said, "I'm just thankful my mom gave me a big butt," which I thought was one of the great quotes of all time. Anyway, Johnny Majors was telling the story. He said he looked at touchdown Jesus and he was waving no good. Johnny Majors, low-key, really funny.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. Buffalo next up on 3HL. Buffalo, what's up?
Hey, I got a funny story about McGavick High School. They had a aircraft mechanics class in the high school there, and one of the teachers cranked up one of them big jet motors, spun it with the starter, and sucked half of the ceiling tiles out of the east side of the high school. They never cranked that motor up again quite as fast.
Is that true?
That's a true story. You talk to some of the people that went to McGavick. Sucked all the ceiling fans out. Because, you know, it used to be Textron right there pretty close.
Yeah.
It was pretty big on aircraft stuff. But
Metro schools back in the day, man, we all had stories. It was crazy.
I'm heading down there to Geodis Park to see the boys in blue and gold, Nashville SC, go Tempo and all the guys. We've managed not to get a tie for the last two games. That ought to please Dawn a little bit.
Actually, the last four games, after a 3-game tie stretch, they've gone 4 in a row without a tie. Here's the thing, too, for those that don't know, Nashville SC in the last 2 games has outscored its opponent 4-0 and 3-0. So 7-0.
Oh, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And I hope we can keep it going tonight. I enjoy your show. Y'all have a good night.
All right. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I went to a Nashville SC game a little while ago with Dawn's husband, as a matter of fact.
Oh, yeah. And the kiddos.
Yeah. I was going to say, did you not know that?
No, I just forgot. I did know that.
I think it was the Minnesota game. We had to leave at halftime because they started at like 8:22 on a school night.
On a school night, yeah. Although my Mr. Babs did not leave at halftime. They stayed. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know. There's probably a joke in there somewhere.
Because he didn't want to come home? Is that what you're saying? I beat you to it. Nice try, Mayor.
He was waiting until he knew Davenport would be asleep.
I saw that expression.
No, I was trying to see if I had a ding-ding button, but I don't.
Yeah.
So ding-ding.
Y'all kiss
what
it.
time will Davenport be asleep? 9:30?
Mm-hmm. Y'all are funny. Funny guys.
615-737-1045 at 3HL1045 on Twitter. Leo and Franklin. Is that where you are, Leo?
That's where I'm at, man. What's going on, guys?
That's where I'm headed at some point this evening.
I feel you. You're loud and clear out here.
All right.
Hey, listen, I wanted to touch on the deal with Jim Harbaugh and the quarterbacks again because I know the transfer portal rules are pretty fluid, and so what was valid a year or two ago. But if you remember when Dabo decided to introduce Trevor Lawrence and make him the starting quarterback at Clemson, there was a big deal made about if he kept the guy, and I forget his name, the prior quarterback was Kelly. I can't remember his name, but if they kept him, then he was going to have to not be able to transfer and be eligible the next year if he played past game 5. I sort of wonder is Harbaugh stringing them both along, and because if he declared a starter now, you'd have a guy that maybe would jump in the portal right now. And it sort of feels a little like maybe that's what's going on. I'll get off and listen to what you have to say.
Yeah, coaches have to be, they have to be careful with it. Kelly Bryant, by the way, is the quarterback that you're talking about at Clemson.
Who had a great career. And then Trevor
phenomenal.
Lawrence comes in and takes the job.
Yep. But look at Trevor Lawrence. Like, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, so talking about Cade McNamara.
Yes, but that's the thing. That coaches are having to deal with that, like, and having to deal with a different way, looking at their depth in a different way, because it's so easy nowadays. Oh, I didn't get the starting job. Okay, well, I'm bolting. And then all of a sudden, you aren't deep at a position anymore. That's why it's important for scholarship numbers for coaches to be able to up those too, Yeah. Like you're only allowed to sign a certain number per class or whatever. It's just the entire landscape is different, and that's a thing. You lose a starting quarterback, or you name a starting quarterback, and then if I'm a backup and I want to play and I'm good, like the last thing I want to do is sit behind somebody. I get it.
Now add NIL into the mix, and if somebody's being paid a lot of money but isn't as good as you think the guy is that you want to play, then what? Ugh. I mean, that's going to be an issue.
Like, I remember
it will happen.
Yeah, the whole Keaton Slovis thing, the reason that he transferred to Pitt, too, was I don't think he necessarily, now that kid's good, obviously, but I don't think he necessarily lost the job. I think there was a little bit of, conversation where it was out of a coach's hands of you play him, otherwise he's going to leave.
That's definitely true.
And that's the problem, too. You get too many hands in the cookie jar. You got ADs and other higher ups getting involved and saying, hey, you better play this 5-star freshman right off the bat.
Hit us on Twitter at 3HL1045. I just texted Slay. You good next segment? Slay's response, I'm good every segment. Ron Slay next on 3HL.
All right. After I had my daughter, I had some health issues. Wasn't feeling like myself. I was super tired. My joints hurt. And I wanted to get back in shape. And I wanted an all-natural option to kind of help guide me back to feeling like myself. And LT360 checked all of my boxes for that. You looking for a non-pharmaceutical option that can help teach you how to reverse and prevent disease? How to overcome high cholesterol, fight fatigue, stress, anxiety, obesity, all of those things. Well, LT360 is who you need to call. Their cellular health transformation helps you live your best life right now. Maybe you want to get off prescription medications that you've been on for too long. They can help you do that. They can help you find more energy, sleep better, wake up rested, and if you're curious and this has piqued your interest, they're also offering a free lunch and learn on September 7th. That's Wednesday, and I'll be there. I'm actually dragging my dad to it, too. So you can also be a part of it. LT360health.com is where you can go sign up for that free lunch and learn. And space is limited, even though it's open to the public. So make sure you go ahead and get in on that, LT360health.com. Or you can always call them. Free consultations, too. 615-815-0390. That's LT360health.com. Hello, friends. Let's talk about Loan Pronto. Homeowners, home buyers out there. Loan Pronto has 30-year fixed rates with APRs in the 4s and 5s, 15-year loans with APRs that start with the number 3. I know the media has talked about interest rates sky high. Well, at Loan Pronto, their rates have plummeted recently, and they're actually refinancing homeowners who locked in a 5 or a 6% rate. So you have a rate over 5%, or if your lender has you pre-approved or locked into a rate at anything 5% or higher, call Loan Pronto now. Let them help you. Not all lender rates are created equal, and you can even get cash out refinance if you just closed a few weeks ago. Loan Pronto will help you out, make it easy without fees. You could save tens of thousands of dollars. Go to loanpronto.com to find out more, or just call them, 615-499-5780, loanpronto.com, 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
3HL 1045 The Zone. Really?
What?
Slay's in the glove? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, we got people trying to get into the boom boom room. Why he's not here?
Oh, yeah. Ron Slade joins us now on the way back from Knoxville. And Slade Dog, Cheeseburger called in and said he wants to be put in the boom boom room.
Hey, man, it's so many people want to go in the boom boom room, man. It's crazy, dog. I'm talking about, I'm up there at the basketball practice checking out the team, man. First of all, woo! 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 We are excited about football, but boy. I'm telling you, baskemball? Lord have mercy, man.
Slay, have
and
you
they stopped it while they were doing post work and asked, did anybody want to go in the boom boom room? I said, shit. Shoot, are they ready for the boom boom room?
we got to dump you.
Are you kidding, bro?
I'm too geeked. I'm too geeked up. I'm too geeked.
Have you been activated, Slay?
Do you even have to ask that question? Slay, what are you doing?
I can't control myself, baby. This is not my fault.
How did you not make this mistake when you were in Vegas, but you made the mistake coming back from Knoxville?
Jeez.
Because, listen, man, it was like somebody put a charge in me when I got up there, dog. You could feel it in the air. It was like they plugged me into Neyland, and they powered all the lights. And I took all the power away with them new LED lights that they're going to use.
Yeah,
it's all injected into me.
It was Tiffany Carpenter. I know her. She's in PR. That's probably who did it. So you said you were excited about all the new stuff in Neyland Stadium. What's going on up there?
Hey, yo, man. Everything that they've added gives it a pop. Like the new scoreboards, both are amazing, and it's so clear. It's so clear, it's crazy. You know, it's really like you're sitting at home watching TV on a 4K TV. You know, it's that clear from every angle in the stadium. The new part that they put in down below, right behind the bench, where they wiped it out and concreted it and put all the nice seats in.
Yeah.
I was able to go underneath and see what they're doing under there. Not yet done, but it will be open tomorrow and be ready to go. And it's air conditioned, man. You're right there on the field. It gives you the vibes of how the Falcons set up their Mercedes-Benz Stadium with the suites right there on the ground next to the end zone and stuff like that. So it's kind of like that. That's amazing. What else is going on? Oh, the VOL S letters that are up on top of the stadium, the pictures don't do it justice. The pictures do not do it justice. They hit a home run with that one. And it's all amazing, man. And then, guess what, boy? I got something in store. See, that's really why I'm so hyped. I got something in store, man. And I just ain't came down. My adrenaline rush. I doubt it comes down to probably like Saturday.
Well, we mentioned that you recently had an announcement, and your announcement was that you were going to have an announcement. So are you ready to make that announcement?
Man, the announcement is, that is, man, the announcement is you need to be in Neyland Stadium to hear the announcement.
So an announcement, that's a tease.
That's the announcement, because the big announcement happens in Neyland Stadium, and you got to be there to take it in. It would be like cheating if I were to tell you what the announcement is. But
so Slay's going to be on the Jumbotron?
Slay will be 4K. Crystal clear.
Wait.
Wow.
4K Slay?
Yep.
I don't know if the world can handle that.
Ooh, I don't either. They put makeup on you?
I don't need no makeup, Bazzy. I'm one take. I'm always ready for my close-up, Mrs. DeVille. I never need makeup, Babsy. I'm ready to go.
All right.
Hey, Babsy, let me tell you, the energy is serious. The energy is crazy. Walking through the complex, man, it's buzzing. Like the lines for students. I don't even know why it was a line up there in Circle Park, but it was a line just going all the way around Circle Park. I don't know what they lined up for. I don't know if they're practicing for the ball walk. Are they practicing to go get tickets? Are they practicing like everybody's going to get a chance to like hold the torch? I don't know what's going on. I almost stopped my car and got in line just to get in line.
Okay.
And that doesn't even make sense, but that's what I felt like.
Did you get to see practice?
No, Babsy. So I missed practice, and then when I got there, Ball State was going on the field to get their workout in. I tell you what, man. Hey, listen, I don't know how many of y'all know on Ball State, but I know it's at 35. Man, we don't think y'all about 40. You and me, man, them little dudes out there, man, I don't even know if they got nobody as big as me, Babsy. I don't know if they got nobody as big as me out there. But I want to run out there doing their little workouts and push them down.
Hold on, Slay. There's a lot of people that aren't as big as you. You're a big dude.
That's true, Babsy. That's true.
Like,
so
you
I guess I
can't
gotta
use you as a comparison. Use hunk.
What the heck? I'm just sitting here doing my work.
Hunk isn't even as big as a kicker.
Stray bullets.
Hey, guess what? Both of y'all would have loved this, man. I got to see them practice the flyover. The flyover was dope. I got to see it twice.
Oh, I love that.
So that was big time. Man, it was just so much going on, man. I'm so hyped. I can't wait till tomorrow. So for that whole hour, I might just scream and chill the entire time. We might not be able to do no show because I'm screaming and cheering.
Oh, my gosh.
I really don't know what to expect tomorrow. So we're on the air from 3 until 4 tomorrow, and then the Vol Network coverage will begin at that point. Tennessee Ball State at 6 o'clock. I do think that we are going to get a visit from Brett Kern tomorrow.
Oh,
hey!
Okay.
Hell yeah.
His pops went on the radio somewhere in Buffalo.
Yeah, went on the air in Buffalo and said that Brett was not going to play for the Bills, which is true. Brett is not going to play for the Bills.
I know, but Pops probably doesn't need to be spreading that.
Yeah, who told Pops to make a big announcement?
I know.
I don't know. But anyway, yeah, that's going to happen tomorrow, and we'll break down Tennessee and Ball State for sure. By the way, you can watch the show anytime Zone TV, and for Rico in there, it's 3 hours of giggling talking about our show. Hey, Rico, you have options, bro. You have options.
Yeah, please. Please. Hey, let me advise everybody.
The word
Listen,
giggle.
I don't know,
no,
but
it's not.
Y'all, listen.
Trust me, I'll rip you a new one at least in 1 hour of the show.
But it's funny, like, people that want to come at me or us, like, saying, y'all laugh too much. Like, seriously? How long you plan on living? Life is short, bro.
Dude.
I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm not going to apologize for it. So, Rico, go straight down. Wherever you want to go, that doesn't include us.
You better enjoy it. Better enjoy it.
Hey, be careful, bro.
All Balls fans tonight, all Balls fans, get on your back porch, have a cigar and a bourbon, because tomorrow, journey starts, baby. And let's go. Bring it to Neyland. Neyland Effect is on full display. I said it.
There you go.
Have fun, Slade. Hey, be careful. Stop cursing.
That was unbelievable. That was unbelievable.
He's gone how long without saying a curse word? See you, Ron. I just said see you, Ron.
He deserves it after that.
He's gone how long without saying a curse word on the air?
Seriously.
Like over a year and a half he's been here. Or a year and a half.
Goodness.
What are we going to do with him? Jeez.
All right.
Wait till
Appreciate
tomorrow.
y'all.
Hey, game day tomorrow.
Game day tomorrow. We'll be ready. Appreciate y'all listening. Appreciate the participation as always. At 3HL 1045. What's coming up next, huh?
After party. You get to hear Danny White from yesterday.
And maybe some more giggling. I don't know.
Coach Mack.
That's next.
Danny Kanell.
1045 The Zone. Later. God bless.
See ya.